You know what? The ads are done. Wait a minute. I don't have my music on. Hey, folks, how is everyone doing today? Is my microphone working today? Yes, okay. Does appear to be working today. Is the Spotify thing working today? Uh, okay, there we go. That one also seems to be working correctly. It's just the music is very low. Also, there are giant chunks of metal falling outside my window because I live in a post apocalyptic landscape called New York City. I don't know if any of that is coming through on the mic, but hello. Happy Halloween, everybody. I wish I could say that I have prepared with all manner of spooky surprises and ghostly and ghoulish and garish. I can't think of a word that starts with G that means surprises again. But I don't. This week, honestly, like with the whole thing where I injured myself and haven't been able to walk much. Although to be fair, I am well enough today that I was able to go out and finally buy some milk and bread and get a couple of groceries, just a couple of blocks. Still a little sore, but definitely getting there. But you'll notice I'm still sitting down today because I'm still healing because I don't have the capacity to absorb damage that, as we discovered, characters in Curseborne have. So yay. But point is, I really haven't had much chance, opportunity, or anything for any kind of uh, uh, Halloween celebration. I'm hoping to go to a little Halloween, post Halloween bash at Dave's on the weekend because if anyone that I know is in love with Halloween, it is him and his. So the best I could do is find my little goth Santa Claus hat to signify the death of one season and the beginning of another because the moment today passes, it is the fat man's time. So that's spooky. That's terrifying. There are only, I don't know what, like 60 shopping days left till Christmas. So hey, keep that in mind. How is everybody doing? How's everybody's holiday? It is a holiday to me. How is everybody Halloween going today, chat? Potato sounds like you're looking forward to running around town with a kiddo and threatening and dog. Hey, dogs are important when you're hunting for candy. But yes, threatening people for candy is the way. That is a tradition. That is honestly what our society is built on. Really, the promise of violence if your immediate needs are not met. Right the fuck now. Also, maybe some masks. Mariah Carey can continue thawing until December. Thank you. Oh, no, she will. Don't worry. Like I said it is the fat man's time. Because now you know how Fat Bear Week just happened. Now is the time for the rest of us. November. There's a reason why, at least in the U.S., November ends in a holiday of ultimate consumption, known as Thanksgiving, because we are ourselves fattening ourselves up for winter, and then we continue fattening ourselves up for spring, during which time we then fatten ourselves up for summer. Look, the cycle continues. We are very fat, is, I believe, what I'm saying. America, I am one of you. So, anyway, on that note, did you know? Did you know? Here's a little Halloween. Okay, so let me not say that. I don't want anybody to leave this stream ever. Period. But also, I don't want anybody to leave this stream saying, you know what, Dan didn't give us any fun holiday, any fun Halloween surprises or facts. So here's a fun Halloween fact for you. It is not spooky, it is not terrifying, it is in fact wonderful. Those giant bags of candy for handing out for the kids, they sell those year round. You can just buy them whenever. Check out your local CVS, Walgreens, or equivalent, and the candy aisle. They usually have the huge bags of candies. You don't have to wait until Halloween. The candy is there. It's waiting for you. I guess that is kind of terrifying in its own way. Hey, yeah, we are. Winter doesn't end till March, sir. There's a long time before Beachbody needs to be considered. Exactly. And also, part of the reason I moved. Look, I grew up. I grew up in Puerto Rico. lore drop here. I grew up in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, unlike the recent speaking points of the U.S. political right, which can, let me be very clear, entirely go fuck itself. Puerto Rico is actually a very beautiful fucking island with some of the best goddamn fucking beaches in the world. Florida fucking wishes. All right? And then I moved up to New York, and look, I say that with all the pride of somebody who was never much of a beach person. Look at my coloring. Do I look like I'm much of a beach person? I am not. I am not. Long before it was a meme, a Star Wars meme, I, you know that whole Anakin, like, oh, the I hate the sand. It gets into everything and makes everything coarse or whatever the fuck it was. Look, that was me. That like fucking Spielberg. No, wait, Lucas. There we go. There we go. Insulting both at the same time. Fucking Lucas stole that line from me. That was me. I was not a beach person. I hated the sand, especially. The water I was fine, but having to deal with the fucking sand, the worst. That said, I then moved up to New York City. We do not have beach. People will tell you there are beaches in New York City. They'll point at things like Coney Island. Um, those are lies. There are no beaches in New York City. That is not a beach. I technically live in almost beachfront property. Like 2 blocks that away, there is a small cove, Hallett's Cove. Just doxed myself. You can just find me now. Um, and Hallett's Cove has a small sandy area that some local developments, some local recent apartment buildings that came up had the fucking gall, the stones, the sheer balls to put on their little brochure, and they photoshopped like beach chairs and stuff. It is a little beach, yes, technically from a definition of the word thing, but it's not. It's not. First of all, the tide means there is no sand. It's not, that sand doesn't show for like at least a third of every day just due to the tide when the tide comes in. That is also that's the East fucking river. I see people kayaking in there. Why? No, I see people fishing from there. Jesus Christ, one of the most polluted things of water in the world, and no, and then that sand is covered by water most of the time. Usually, it's up to the wall. Then the little bit of sand that is revealed is gray and filled with like that's not a beach. It's not a beach. New York has no beaches. There is rocks and water that meet at a place. That is not a beach. So I have taken the high ground, my friend. So point is, I I don't, beach body is not a concern, right? Beach body is not a concern. Just a live body is mostly the concern. Um, but ah, no, fucking beaches. Anyway, that got me off on a rant. We're off to a start, and I'm supposed to finish. I'm supposed to finish this goddamn game today. Let's go. Let's go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't choose this life. This is me. This isn't even the game. I accidentally opened up my journal. Jesus Christ. Let me hydrate here. I'm getting worked up. Oh my God. I accidentally opened up my. Are we saying river beaches aren't valid? Yeah. I mean, look, this is a me problem. This is kind of like the werewolf situation. I grew up surrounded by like some of the most pristine, most beautiful tropical beaches in the world. I have a hard time defining anything outside of those as beaches. You have a riverfront, and there's a riverfront beach, I guess. Again, look, I understand that I'm using the word wrong. I know. This is me. This is a me problem. I am not stating a universal fact. I am stating a very me opinion that no, river beaches are not valid. To me, I do not accept them as real beaches. Real beaches are the archetypal beach with the blue water and the sandy white sands and all that stuff. Uh, And yeah, to me, river connotes a river, a bank, yeah, and beach connotes an ocean or a sea. Um, so yeah, I kind of have a hard time. And then again, to be fair, I've never lived near. I mean, I guess this here is the East River. They're calling it a beach. And I guess it technically is. And the East River is a long river. I wouldn't want to try and swim it from one side to the other. But it's not one of the widest rivers in the world. I don't live near the biggest parts of the Mississippi. I've never gone there, so I don't know if the Mississippi has beaches. The Mississippi River has beaches, presumably. Some areas do, and since lakes can have beaches, a lakeside beach. Look, I get it, beach, the word. New York, however, does not have beaches. I'm sorry, New York City. As somebody who lives here, as a New York City near native by this point, I no, there are no beaches in New York City. Anyone who tells you otherwise is deluded, sadly deluded. Probably because of whatever fucking parasites are in their brains from having gone swimming. Why? Why? Have you seen the color of that water? That's not the color that water is supposed to have. Water is supposed to have a color, but if it must, it should be blue. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't choose this life. Yeah, this life fucking chose me. I'm gonna skip the fluff because we need to finish this today. When two characters come into conflict. Okay, so we are looking after. I'm not even gonna recover what we did yesterday. We looked at the system. We liked it. What did the system get from us yesterday? Overall, that we liked what we saw so far. We got to see. We kind of skipped over a lot of the details of investigation, but we got the vibe for it, and I definitely want to. I'm gonna need to see some play examples to really grok this, I think, and I'm gonna need to see, of course, like the final book to really grok this. But I like what they're doing. I like that there's a pretty straightforward system. A lot of the same elements from the previous from that have been introduced in the system, such as tags, and everything else, have been applied. There's also the whole thing about evidence. There's the way you roll and the whole tricks mechanic for rolling and how that applies to investigation. We got that. We got the special bit about interrogation, how interrogation, first you have to do a roll to kind of manage what your starting point is, and then from there you move on to how difficult it is going to be to get information from that person. We found a use for contacts. I really like how they handle contacts in this game. We saw combat. We saw how healing works. I actually was pretty pleased by that. I think, to me, strikes a good balance between getting really hurt, still sucks, right, and can take a while to recover from without magic and powers and stuff. But at the same time, just getting banged up during an adventure doesn't immediately require 3 to 4 months of fucking traction before you can go out again, as it might in some of the more quote unquote realistic games. I think it's a good balance on the side of I'm playing an action badass, rather than, we are going to very carefully delineate the specific ways in which you are going to recover from this. No, we don't need that. So now we're going on to the social, and I'm really curious about this because previous versions of World of Darkness, especially the Chronicles of Darkness stuff, had a I went a little bit too far. There we go. Previous versions had a sort of, I don't know if you remember, the doors mechanic for kind of social combat, quote unquote, social interaction mechanics. And I remember looking at that and kind of appreciating what they were trying to do. But also, and I have moved on from this style of thinking, so do not take this as my current opinion. This is what I thought at the time when I read it. Because and I kind of disown this opinion now because I don't feel that way about them. But I felt there was a bit of smugness because I had a good role playing group. I'd had several good role playing groups, and the uh, yeah, exactly. You recall the doors. Good. I'm not the only one who has these memories. But I recall like going, okay, cool. I like that they're trying to make a mechanic because in a lot of games, you'll have a single like interrogation role or whatever, and like I liked that there was a sort of sub game mechanic to this, but it almost felt like too much of a sub game mechanic. It felt like, okay, this is what I'd have if I was playing maybe a video game, and I'm trying to navigate a sub tree of like options and whatnot and difficulties, but especially some of the way that the door system had you like required waiting, like, oh, somebody's opinion was there were this many doors, some doors like you have to wait x amount of time before the next door will open, which again I get what they were trying to model, and it was in its own way kind of realistic because sometimes, yeah, you got to butter somebody up for a while. You can't just get a one really good roll and then they'll hand you their sports car or whatever. Like it was meant to kind of cultivate long-term relationships, and maybe for a game of like Vampire or something, the kind of game that takes its time, the kind of game where you can go, okay, 3 weeks pass and and now this, which is not my experience in a lot of games. A lot of games take place like when you actually sit down to do things, you take place in the moment. Like it felt more almost like a downtime mechanic, I guess. Or again, maybe a better fit for a very long-term political game, which technically Vampire the Requiem especially was, it actually didn't bill itself. Remember how old school Vampire World of Darkness was billed itself as a gothic punk game of personal horror or something like that. I think it was like personal horror. Now it builds itself as a game of political horror, which is considering what we're less than a week away from. I feel like we're living a world of political horror right now, but whatever. But point is that you know for that certain flavor, I can see that's working. But at the table, and yeah, struggle exactly. Not everyone can be Billy, but also not true. That is what it boils down. Not everyone's gonna be Billy, but like I said, exactly. Like I felt a little bit smug. I was like, I'm not gonna use this system because I actually have people that I play with, and I don't feel like I need to gamify I don't need this to track how well I'm doing in my negotiation because we are actually good enough role players, yeah, to be able to play this out without requiring a system. And I don't quite agree with that anymore. I actually appreciate if there is a system that like I think it was just like it didn't quite strike the right balance. I appreciate what they were doing, kind of just like you, Struggle Bus, but it missed me with the execution. It felt like it's kind of like how combat can feel in some games, where like the game can be flowing, things are happening, things are rolling, you're making the occasional roll, action thing, things happen, scene moves on, and then combat breaks out, and it all comes to a screeching halt. As now everybody turn by turn methodically does this, takes this action, follows this thing, blah blah blah. Okay, now it's my turn, blah blah. With that system, it kind of felt like, okay, you're playing the scene, you're getting into character, you're getting into the emotion of the moment, and then like just come to a screeching halt as now we got to deal with these mechanics. And it just felt weird. And I think that's also, now that I think about it, I think that was also part of my problem originally with Powered by the Apocalypse games, that there was this feeling of, why is it trying to gamify the things that I would naturally do? because I think we as players, and especially with Fandible and the group there, um, we didn't we didn't really the concept of play to lose, basically, or even just play to find out, fuck around to find out. We were thank you, yeah, working on it, working on the plugs. We were we've done that before. That's the kind of thing we do because also we were putting on a show, right? We kind of entertainers. I want to be entertainers if nothing else. And so we weren't just playing for ourselves. We were playing to put on a show. There was going to be an audience, and we were aware of that. And that is a big difference between actual play, streamed stuff and recorded stuff, and home games. There can be a different energy because some of the actual plays, some of the better ones, they remember that they're putting on a show, so they'll kind of play their characters a little bit more to the edge. They'll take chances. They'll make the dumb decisions because they'll make for a better story and a better show. Versus home game players, where often they can be more focused on just their own individual fun and making sure that my character is powerful, etc., and doing that stuff. And it's less about the sort of the bombastic role playing, because they're not there to put on a show for anybody. They're doing the thing that is fun for them, and for some people at the table, it might be more fun to do the bombastic role play. For other people, they're there for the combat or for whatever. So like I can see those systems fitting in for people that not need the guidance. But even then, at that point, it almost made it too clinical, too artificial. I don't know. I didn't click with the old World of Darkness one. So let's see. All of that said, and leaving me with less than 10 minutes to the next ad break, let's see what Curseborne is doing with it. Considering dice luck, some of us are just here to survive. Exactly. All right, let's see. So when two characters come to conflict, but the situation does not devolve into fighting, Curseborne uses the influence system. Influence encompasses everything from convincing a friend to do you a favor, to intimidating an enemy, into giving up a valuable secret. Anytime a character attempts to influence another into taking an action he would rather not do, that's influence. If they are willing to go along with whatever the character wants, then there's no reason to roll the dice. Makes sense. Integrity is your social defense, so that is your stat. Character's integrity is always at least 1, and when the player rolls to resist influence, she uses those hits to purchase tricks. Characters also have attitudes and bonds which may act as enhancement towards her influence or integrity actions. Just like any other time a character wants to take an action against another character who is actively resisting, influencing someone is an opposed action. The character initiating the influence uses an appropriate skill plus attribute, depending on what they want to accomplish, and the defending character rolls using their resolve or composure, no skill, difficulty 0, to adjust her integrity. The following are examples of influence action character can take. When you intimidate somebody into acting or refraining from acting a certain way, roll leader. Okay, so these are just sample things that you can roll. For intimidation, for entreating, persuasion with presence, change someone's mind or influence how they think, empathy plus presence, weaken someone's bond to another, empathy plus manipulation, trick someone to believing a lie, larceny plus manipulation. When you want to make a good impression, empathy plus presence. When you want to scam someone over email or social media, tech plus manipulation. All right, cool. Interesting stuff. Okay, so you as the attacker, you as the one doing the influencing, you roll your skill plus attribute. The defending character rolls either resolve or composure, difficulty 0. Any hits, then adjust their integrity. And character's integrity is always at least 1. When the player rolls to resist, okay, so these are the influence tricks. Are there separate integrity is the defense. Here we go. So let's see. So the influencer gets access to these tricks. With 3 hits, you get to deepen the bond. Either forge a new bond to a character or deepen an existing bond. You may only purchase this trick on a single target once per scene. Encourage or prevent thought for 2 hits. You change your character's mind about something important to them in the moment. Either provide a compelling lie or reveal evidence of the truth they had no knowledge of prior. And persuade. 2 hits, you persuade your target to take an additional action that they would not have previously on top of the original influence. And shift attitude. Your influence changes the heart of your target, shifting their attitude towards your character up or down 1 level. The acting player decides. Meanwhile, on the defense side, we've got integrity tricks. Cruel intentions. It takes 3 hits. Conversations are a two-way street. Your character successfully performs an influence action on the initiator with no additional hits. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Turn it around on them. Resist 1 to 3 hits. Each hit spent on resisting increases the difficulty to enact the influence against the character. Makes sense. And shift attitude. You play on the influencer's own feelings, shifting their attitude towards your character up or down 1 level. The defending player decides. I like that. I like that actually. So far, that's getting a pretty happy wow here from me, because first of all, it's not a long term, like, okay, there is it still kind of comes down to just a pair of rolls, right? But so much of the system comes to, let's see how many hits you get and then figure out what you can do with them, right? And in this case, the fact that both roll, and the defender doesn't have that much, because again, depending on what the influencer, what the attacker kind of is doing, it feels like the attacker will generally have more hits than the defender in this case. Then again, the hits from the defender are specifically to increase their defense. So if a defender, that's the thing, a defender is probably going to want to spend most of their hits on resist, because this is the most immediately helpful thing. But on a good roll, like if a defender gets a couple of 10s on that roll, and each one of those counts as 2 hits, right? Then they can fight back. So there is a non-zero chance of risk when you're using an influence action. Like, you're going in there, but by making contact, there is a level of risk that you're taking, that this person might turn it around on you. I can totally see, like, just based on these results, I can totally see, because these cruel intentions and shift attitude both have nothing to do with whether the action succeeds. If you have the hits for it, they happen, right? So, fail the dice roll hard. Hands, are we the baddies? Exactly. But also, like, I can totally see the results of a pair of really interesting rolls ending up with both sides literally changing each other's minds. And now, like, like the whole duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, rabbit season, rabbit season, duck season, duck season. Next thing you know, like, they're both like rabbit season, duck season. There's a timely reference for the youths. I dig this. I kind of dig this. Okay, refusing influence. Aha. So good. This is one of those things. Fire. This is one of those things here, and I like this. I haven't seen the system yet, but I like that there is an option, because that's the other thing. Systems that influence systems that affect player control. I'm big on this. I literally took the mechanic. I literally took it, and this is something that I'm gonna be honest, I may change, but not entirely. I want to see. I want to think about if I do introduce a way for Magic to do mental influence, and I do kind of want it, because I do want there to be kind of empath, and so there's some level of mental manipulation powers. I just don't want mind control powers that take away someone's free will entirely. I really have a problem with that. So if this system provides an option for refusing something so that free will is maintained while still keeping it fair, I might adapt something like that for my own game. So I'm real curious about this. Always read other games to learn for yourself. So let's see. Players do not have to accept the result of an influence action against their character if they feel it is too far outside the bounds of the character's nature, or if it would make them uncomfortable. Whenever a player is unwilling to go along with the result of an influence action, they have 2 choices: accept a hard bargain or ignore it entirely. A hard bargain is a narrative tool that allows a player to resist a social influence at a cost to the character. The character might suffer a setback, open themselves up to different kind of influence, or accept a social status effect as a result. The player refusing the influence chooses what kind of setback her character will accept instead of the influence, but it must be something of equal measure. If the player is unsure, the influencing player or story guide can offer suggestions. When choosing a hard bargain, remember to always move the story forward. And so again, I generally like this, that there's an option for a player to go like, I am not comfortable. I do not want my character. I know you rolled, all of these successes, but I don't want this. Like it's my character. I don't want their opinions to be entirely controlled by somebody else. Cool, cool. So here's the option, because that doesn't completely erase what happened, but it does sound like there's an ignore it entirely thing. So let's see what that looks like as well. It's like, all right, so the character gains a guilt-ridden or unexpected favor status effect with the influencer. The character gains the destroyed reputation of an important cruiser's target, or the crestfallen status effect. Character gains, okay, so basically status effects for the most part. Like, let's see which status effect would then apply logically to this scene where your character refuses this influence, but there is this consequence to it. I'm okay with that. But also says, a player can choose to ignore the influence completely, which grants the influencing character +2 enhancement on their next action against her. If the character who refuses the influence is a story guide character, the player who used the influence may opt to add 2 momentum to the pool instead of gaining enhancement. Interesting. Okay, so there's a way to just like, no, I don't want those consequences either. Like, this is not a thing. Cool, but again, there's a way to just completely refuse it without full-on X-carding it, right? Because that's the thing also, like, keep in mind, there's also like some kind of X-card Veils Online. This is all assuming that whatever is happening is not already covered by your safety tools, by your gameplay mechanics and guides, right? And your theme and thematic guides. So with that in mind, yeah, overall, I really like this. And I think I will give it a little thought during the ad break. Be right back. Ads be gone, and that, I guess, means I'm back. All right, so let's read this example real quick. Also, wait, let's read chat real quick. Let's look down there. Let's see here. Psychotic Potato. That makes sense. The player tries to get the NPC to do something insanely unreasonable, rolls great, and the story guide could completely just say, yeah, they won't go for that. But you do get something for your great roll. Yeah, exactly. Like, there is a built-in excuse, because it happens from both sides. I like that they specifically specified. Look at me with the fucking vocabulary. They specified that for an NPC character, story guide, SGC character, to an SGC to refuse, because like sometimes like, well, I rolled the equivalent of I rolled an at 20, so the guard has to let me out of my cell. Like, no, the guard is like, look, man, I holy shit, you got like 8 hits on that roll. Like, you rolled 8 dice. No, you got 16 hits on that roll. You rolled 8 dice, and they were all 10s. Amazing. I respect that. I respect what's happening here, and I'm gonna let you probably get away with a bunch of these hits. All right, man, these guards are like you now. You have bonds with them. You know they're kids. You change their minds. A lot of them are now kind of like into like prison abolition. Cool. Like you've done some good work here, sir or ma'am. They're not going to open your cell and let you fucking leave. I'm sorry. Here's to momentum. Good work. Good work. I mean, you changed this place for the better with your 16 goddamn hits. But those guards are still not just letting you out, buddy. Yes, I kind of love this overall. All right, so we're getting. Let's see. Actually, the example. I'm going to go ahead and read that. Let's see. The police have captured Lori, and they demand she tell them where her friends are. The story guide succeeds on the influence action, but Lori's player believes that she would never betray her friends, so she chooses to take a hard bargain instead. Lori reveals a secret about her family. Appeased, Lori is let go, but now she must race against the clock to get back to her family and let her know the police are now investigating them. Exactly. Look, I like this. I like this little example. It's like it's a way to go like no, no matter how many successes, whatever, no matter how many hits, no matter how well your dice rolled, sometimes there are things that a character will simply not do, and this allows you to have that without punishing, or rather, while still rewarding the efforts of a good roll and the efforts of trying. Like you can still do the stuff from your hits here, from your tricks, and modify things. Like there's still an effect to that. There's still I do like that there is, even on a, again, the example of like you rolled super well on a roll to get the guards on your side, and that's just not a thing that will ever, like, you'll never get them on your side enough to have them like risk their jobs, break the law, and their jobs and their own freedom, just to let you go. At least not on a single roll, my friend, not on a single roll. Uh, this still can allow the SG to influence with a good talky character without violating player agency. Exactly, exactly. You can still influence and you won't violate player agency, but now, this NPC now has bonds to you. They've managed to like spend their own tricks to like, they've done some damage. They've done some damage, mentally speaking, right? So. They might have yeah, exactly, and then the hard bargain might involve like, yeah, again, something here like a status effect, or a threat to one of your contacts, or to your character, or to another player or something. All sorts of ways you can roll with that. So I really like that. In fact, again, it doesn't get a wow. My fucking fat finger here. Try that again. Do it properly. Oh no, now it's wrong. Okay, I have to fix that. Yeah, now it does the sound. Okay, now it does the sound. Okay, there we go. Now it should be all synced. Let's test it one more time. Did I break it? Okay, did not break it forever. Look, a full 3 wows. Only one of them proper, for the social system, but I was legitimately worried about it. So I am glad, very glad that what I see here is something that I like. All right, let us see what we've got next. Okay, so now we're looking at attitudes and bonds. Like the stuff that we've seen so far, a lot of it has been referencing stuff like attitudes, modifying attitudes, shifting attitudes back and forth, and of course establishing bonds and manage forging. And so this is good. This is stuff that we need to know. So we're going to read through pretty much all of this, I think, like word for word. So let's see. Attitudes. People make impressions on one another as they interact, forming attitudes towards one another. Attitudes are measured as of 3 levels: negative, neutral, or positive. Attitudes convey modifiers to actions, and all characters start with a neutral attitude towards people they just met. Attitudes grant advantage to influence and integrity actions, depending on how someone feels about the character attempting the influence action. Ooh, advantage, which we kind of established is kind of a big deal. So a positive attitude. Okay, so these are. I was worried. Okay, so my first instinct when I saw this only just positive, negative, and neutral, I was kind of surprised. Like, wow, so there's not like multiple levels of positive and multiple levels of negative. Remember how we saw recently, and I like a good reputation system if it has mechanical effects and benefits, right? In the game, you remember, those of you who've been here since the beginning and remember my deep dive into Penumbra City, know how much I was all in on the social mechanics of that game and the coalition building, and you know, you can build up. And so I think there were like 5 levels of sort of attitude that you could have with every individual faction, or 4 levels actually. I think there was a 5th level, but it was kind of like you couldn't really reach anyway. So you know, like I was expecting something like that. So the fact that it's only just one, it's either positive or negative, and not that much really super negative or super positive, just positive, negative, or neutral. But the effect that it has, the fact that it's a social advantage, capital A advantage, we saw that that's a big deal in this system. So that's okay. That's good. That's good. That feels juicy. That feels like gaining a positive attitude with a person, you know, or a group, I guess, is solid. And having a group or person have a negative attitude towards you is a stumbling block. Is a serious thing. So yeah, I like that. I like it. Feels it has some weight. Has some weight. Especially, yeah, it definitely does. Okay, so a positive attitude gets 1+1 social advantage on the influence action, or defending character has +1 difficulty to their actions. Yeah, so it's harder for them to defend. Negative, so on the integrity action of the defender or the character. Okay, cool, yeah. So, character being influenced is made to do something she would rather not do, or is out of character for her, and she does not refuse the influence. Her attitude towards the acting character shifts down 1 level. Oh, if it was already a negative attitude, she gains a bond of animosity towards the acting character. If she already had a negative bond, that is strengthened by 1, but if they shared a positive bond, it is decreased by 1. Oh, so that's it. So that's yet another option besides reducing that. Like, you can have a character who, like, okay, fine, they do the thing. The guards are still not letting you out. I'm sorry, this is not going to happen to the guards. But you know, your sister, who really doesn't want to have to pick you up at the airport tomorrow, but you're fighting with your boyfriend, so you can't ask him, and she really doesn't want to, but you've got nobody else, and she needs somebody, so she's gonna do it, but she's unhappy about it. So her attitude has shifted from positive to neutral, or possibly, or if she was already kind of pissed at you, then her positive bond goes down by 1. But she still does the thing, but there's a consequence towards forcing people to do things they really don't want to do anyway. I like that. I like that a lot. That's definitely that gets a solid route all on its own. I like that there's a pretty distinct, easily defined mechanism to handle that sort of like that grudge, that like, I'm doing this for you, but I'm not happy about it kind of thing. All right, bonds. Bonds are the connection between 2 characters. They've been referenced for a lot. We've seen a lot about bonds. Let's see. For good or ill, bonds tie characters together and make them important figures in each other's lives. Here's the thing. The thing I'm concerned about, and here's why I've got high hopes and high concerns for bonds, is that there is so much reference to them, right? There are entire families whose main shtick is bond manipulation. So I'm a little nervous, because this seems to be a very, very primal, very central mechanic to the game. And while I'm glad that it's short and we could move on immediately to equipment, I wonder if it's for the better or for the worse that it's so short. It might be for the better. It means that they're strictly defined. We get exactly what they are. We don't need 3 chapters about, you know, the philosophy behind bonds to get it. I hope that's the case. Let's see. Bonds are listed. Character bonds play an important role in a character's life and influence best friends and nemesis alike. Bonds are listed as positive or negative and rated 1 to 5 depending on the intensity of the connection. Positive bonds. Each session, players gain a pool of enhancement that stacks. Okay, straight up, good. Your bonds give you a thing, give you bennies. Each session, players gain a pool of enhancement that stacks equal to the bond rating of the character's bond to another character, which they can use when taking teamwork actions with the bond mate. Although for bonds at 4 and 5, such uses of enhancement are capped at +3 as normal. Each member gains their own personal pool based on their bond's rating. Enhancement from bonds can be spent to overcome advantage if the characters are acting together against a character or situation that has advantage over them. The acting characters must spend 2 bond enhancement to counteract 1 level of advantage. Okay, so I feel like, I mean, this, I guess if this is the main effect, that's still good. Basically, positive bonds with somebody is a pool of enhancement. So if I have a bond, let's say I have a bond of 2 with Potato, a bond of 3 with Struggle Bus, that means that any actions, if any teamwork actions that I take with Potato would be would have an additional, I would have a 2 dice pool with him that I can use. Gain a pool of enhancement that stacks equal to the bond they can use when taking teamwork action. Gains their own personal pool, can be spent. Okay, each session. Okay, so they are spent. So I have 2 extra dice that I can, if I choose to, spend 1 or both for that teamwork action to reflect how well we work together because of our bond. If I did the same thing with Struggle Bus, I would have a pool of 3 dice, so 1, 2, or 3 that I can spend on this teamwork action with them. Cool. And if we were, either one of us were working together, so this needs a little clarifying here. I'm not sure. It says like enhancement for bonds can be spent to overcome advantage. This I get, and I like that if you and your buddy who you have a bond with, and I guess who you have a bond with, act together and stand up together, you can overcome a situation having advantage over you. I love that. That is really cool. The power of motherfucking friendship. But this needs clarifying in that, does this mean, is it 2 bond enhancement each? Or can one character spend the 2 bonds, 2 enhancement for both? Or can one spend 1 and one spend the other? Like, this needs a little clarification because doesn't feel clear to me. The fact that it mentions both makes me feel like each one needs to spend the 2, which makes it something that then this extra effect, this advantage overcoming effect, really only takes place between people who have at least a level 2 bond with each other, which I'm okay with if that's the case. It means that like you need to have at least that level of connection with somebody to sort of be able to do the stand together against the odds kind of thing. But I do overall really like this. This is it. Fine. I was expecting more. I was honestly expecting more. And I like that this is, how can I put this? One of the things I don't like about a lot of Power by the Apocalypse games that have a sort of bond or string or tie mechanic is that they sort of enable, they're meant for like, for manipulating the other character, right? They feel like they're meant for like, okay, I have these strings, connections, holds over you, on you, and I can spend them to influence you. So it makes it feel like I have power over you when I have a bond to you. This system is like, no. The higher our bond, the better we work together. We both have these pools, and if we have a 2-way bond, if our bond is reciprocated, we both have these pools that we can spend. So when we do things, when we have to make rolls together, we can go plus ultra, together, right? And that's it. There's no other influence that you hold over them. It's more on you. And in fact, it reflects like a sort of a one-sided bond, where like if you are helping somebody that you deeply admire, you might be able to pull further from it and add to that teamwork, versus the other person barely even thinks of you, so they're just putting in the regular amount of effort. They don't have those extra dice to put on the teamwork action, So yeah, I like the way positive bonds are presented, simple and clean. Meanwhile, negative bonds, If the characters are at odds with one another, they can instead use their enhancement from the bond on action taken against the other, again to a maximum of +3 for higher bonds. They know how to get under each other's skin or goad them into acting even when they don't want to. This enhancement can be used to overcome advantage that might be granted by a negative attitude between the characters. Interesting. So, okay. So, wait, characters with a negative bond may still use their bond enhancement for teamwork actions if they are working to the same goal together. This is a much more unlikely scenario with characters in negative bond. Yes, but also, that trope of like enemies, enemies who really hate each other, but then like a third enemy, a third party shows up and they have to work together to overcome the enemy, and they actually work together so fucking well because they are like level 3, level 4 bonded enemies, negative bonded enemies with one another, so they know each other so well that they fucking fight as if they were a married pair, basically. I love that trope, and I love that you can pull that off here. Some anime bullshit, and I love it. Yes. I have been so pleasantly surprised by this social stuff so far. But also this is okay. So all of this. Like if you have, if you have a hatred, a sworn hatred for the evil, the evil God Emperor, so you have a negative bond to the God Emperor from your end. The God Emperor doesn't even know you exist. But even if they do, like again, you have this extra pool of things you can do to get under each other's skin, to use against each other, because you are so much more motivated because of that negative bond. And again, so like if somebody has a negative attitude, we establish that attitudes having an advantage thing is solid, like it's a big thing. So a negative attitude towards you from the evil God Emperor is pretty much a given. So they're gonna have this advantage on you, the social advantage. But if your bond of hatred towards them is strong enough, you can just overcome that completely, because no, you don't intimidate me. You're the evil God Emperor who I have sworn to destroy. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yay. All right, forging and strengthening bonds. Let's see what the system is there. At character creation, characters form bonds with the other players' characters at the table, assigning bond ratings to each person. Cool. We see that during character creation. As the game progresses, these bonds can strengthen or weaken, and the character can forge new bonds. To form a new bond or strengthen an existing bond with a character, they must spend time together. It might be a fight scene in which a new nemesis is formed, or a long trek where friendship is forged. The characters must interact in a scene together before the bond can be created. If attempting to establish a bond, whenever another character says something you find interesting or fun to pursue further, note it down, wait for a good moment to speak up about your interest, and at the end of the scene, session, or downtime, engage in an in-character discussion about the subject. At the end, create your new bond with a level 1 rating. I'm sorry, but I love that this is just basically a description of like, this is how you make friends. If you're talking to somebody and they bring up a topic that you think would be interesting or fun to pursue further, maybe make a mental note about it, and then wait for a good moment to speak up about that interest, and then talk to them about it. I'm sorry. I find this so funny. I love it. It's good advice overall. It's not the worst. How to make friends and influence people. But if two characters have an established bond, they can still engage in bonding scenes. You're right. Yes, I presume so. It's not like, yes, we are friends now, so I no longer need to interact with you. Bye. Off to collect the next friend. No, you can still engage in bonding scenes. The principle remains the same. Do the thing. Do the friend thing. Be a friend. You may also lean on discover shared secret interests, success in a fight, or other scenes. So you can also talk about other things that you would talk about with a friend. It's the advice that we're being given. I love this. I absolutely love this. They know their audience. Bonds can also be weakened. Characters may choose to break or decrease a bond without any scene. I appreciate that they're like, hey, if you want to break a bond, you don't have to play it out. The bond will weaken in the next scene. A bond can change from positive to negative or back again without changing intensity. Ooh. A character may choose to change the nature of a bond without any scene, and it changes immediately in the same scene. A positive bond can change to a negative, and if it's a positive bond at rating 5, it'll flip to a negative bond at rating 5. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you do not cheat on your significant other. Again, I really like what they're doing here. It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. I like this overall. Characters in a bond do not necessarily have the same rating towards each other, like attitudes, meaning one character may feel as though someone is their best friend, while that person views them as merely an acquaintance. Cool. Characters have a limit on how many bonds they can have at each rating. Character may have 1 bond at rating 5, 2 at 4, 3 at 3, 4 at 2, and an unlimited number of bonds at rating 1. That checks out. I could see in some situations expanding those, but overall, I think those limits are fine. The only other thing I could think of would be maybe limiting it to like that many negative and that many positive, maybe, if needing that. But you know, maybe. Let's see. After feeling that different attitudes with my junior. Oh yeah. All the videos. If I'm thinking of the same thing, like we, again, grew up in Puerto Rico, but I remember some of those sort of like, like social, presented by the school kind of like, here's how to be a person kind of education things. Okay, cool. So overall, so that was the social stuff. Yeah. I was a little worried because it was so short, but short and sweet, honestly. I like what it does. It doesn't overcomplicate it. There's just enough there, and it has an effect. It's not a 100% effect on the rest of the game, but it's enough that it matters. And for those characters that manipulate bonds, manipulate the levels of bonds, manipulate whether they're positive or negative or neutral, like this is now, okay, I understand how powerful that can actually be. And now I understand why you would want to manipulate these bonds and what it'll let you get away with, or do, really. So overall, okay, cool. I like that. Also like that that this game makes collaboration easy enough that having a whole separate mechanic focused around being able to improve collaboration or competition between bond mates makes sense because then that collaboration can just happen. It's not a really complicated, super restrictive process, right? It's just like, okay, you both roll and kind of put your hits together. So cool. I like that. Let's see here. So equipment. Okay, I'm not going to read the fluff. Equipment in Curseborne is abstracted to items that grant enhancement to certain actions. That's kind of what I'm doing with my own game, so I get it. The most common equipment is weapons and armor, but anything that would assist the character in actions, such as rod for fishing, disguise kit, or mechanical equipment, will grant all enhancement to the actions they are designed for. Tags, okay, weapons. So now we're going to find out about the weapons. Okay. So here's some of the stuff that we didn't see in that combat example, and I guess they didn't include it just to keep it simple. But okay, so it's not like a punch is equal to a gun is equal to an RPG is equal to, a nuclear bomb. Weapons have levels. Weapons get enhancements. They also have other qualities that distinguish them from other equipment. Weapons can be used up close or at range. They can deal various kinds of damage. Ranged weapons can attack up to medium range without a special tag. Cool. All weapons grant at least +1 enhancement, so you can have some weapons that are more powerful than others. Cool. Most weapons bear up to 2 tags, so more exotic and rare weapons have up to 4. Cool. Okay, and then we've got the tags. So we've seen this is very common now. I think like D&D 2024 has something similar for weapons. DC 20 I think also has like a similar, this is something, and I think I vaguely remember. So no, I distinctly remember stuff like this coming from things like Dungeon World and Apocalypse World, where things had tags for aspects. The problem is it was badly defined in those games, but when it is well defined, I dig it. Cool, this sword has the brutal and flaming tags. That means that this sword inflicts massive damage and has fire. Cool. That means, and meanwhile, this lance has long range and flaming. So it's a flaming lance that can be thrown extra long range. Fucking cool, right? So I like this when the tags are well defined and have a thing, and it's not just like big C large. God damn it. I still might do that. I still might make that game. That is a threat that has not entirely gone away. But this I like, and a lot of systems seem to be following the same kind of idea for like building weapons, basically. Like I'm sure we'll see an example later of ooh, okay, so here's some interesting, some items and stuff. We'll look at those in a minute. I'm sure eventually we'll get a list of like, you know, oh, an AR, whatever, here are the specific tags for it and everything. But right now, this is the basic system. I get it. Cool. Simple. Weapons will grant +1 enhance, +1 to +3, I'm guessing, depending on the weapon. And you apply different tags that allow them to do different things. More exotic weapons might have more tags that let them do more stuff. From this, you can build all kinds of weapons. This is solid. This is solid. I have zero problem with this. The tags are tied to whether the close combat or range or whatever. Solid. Really, this is a good system. I've seen it used in other games for a reason, because it is a good system to use for this. Let's see. Makes it fun when you can do a random table to generate weapon tags too. Exactly, weapons from tags rather. Yeah, exactly. Like just roll and you get like heavy and stunning. All right, cool. Those are my 2 tags. What can you make with that? All sorts of things. You know, the most obvious is like some kind of like large mallet or whatever. But like, yeah, let your imagination go wild, right? And on that note, you know what? Chat, have some fun. With you know, like, well, these are up on screen or whatever. They're gonna go away because I'm going to throw the ads on screen in a second. Go ahead. Come up with a couple of tags and the weapon that you think you would make from them. Tell me in the chat. All right, so here's something I noticed. And as I'm looking, let's see, painful plus poison, rub Tabasco sauce and rat poison on a bread knife. All right, I like that one. The bread knife of unhygienicness. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at poisoned, actually, coincidentally enough. And I just noticed something that I can see this being a little annoying. And I know what the sort of workaround, I guess, is, and part of it is going to be just get good and learn the game, right? But look at this, poison. The weapon is coated in poison. Okay, cool. Gain access to the poison trick when making attacks with this weapon. Armor prevents this effect. Cool. So that means when I use this weapon, when I hit with this weapon, I can spend extra hits to buy the poison trick. The poison trick is luckily defined right here. As poison from 1 to 3 hits, so depending on how many hits you spend. And I guess depending on how many hits you spend, that'll influence what the fast-acting toxin status effect is, which is another thing. So this is fine. This makes sense. And as a programmer, Yeah, I get it. I get it. You're referring to multiple variables down effectively, but as a player, okay. So what's a poison thing? Oh, a poison thing lets me use the poison trick. Oh, cool. So what's the poison trick to? Oh, the poison trick lets me do the fast acting taxing status effect. Oh, what's that? And I have to go to a third place to see what that does. And if you know what? Actually, is this? Let me see. Let's do a quick search for fast acting toxin. Is it just one? No, here we go. Fast acting toxin. Okay, so it's long. It's long. It's a proper explanation. It's a proper explanation. Counterotoxin. Some fast acting toxins are soporifics for each round to persist. Character can attempt poison with survival action, otherwise the effect fades when time lapses. Okay, so even here, okay, for each round it persists, it inflicts 1 injury to the target. But you can also do the paralyzing or dealing damage that persists. So you still have to define on the weapon which type of fast-acting toxin, or I guess by default it's just 1 injury, which is different from 1 damage, right? Like, there's something to keep in mind. It's one of those things that as we go, we're going to have to remember in terms of damage, that injury and damage are 2 different things. Searchable and well-indexed PDFs are been a moon to modern gaming, and Onyx Path is usually really good about it with final products. No, exactly. It's good. It's easy to find, especially with a searchable PDF. And I'm assuming in the final option, in the final. Okay, we made it back to where we were. In the final book, this, of course, will not be just a PXX. So, we'll be able to find it. But it just feels like when when a thing points me to another thing, which points me to a third thing, like that third level almost feels like that's 1 step too far in the amount of things I need to look up. Kind of. But then again, because this is now a system that a lot of players are used to, this tag system, I see it reflected in a lot of different games, and there's only so many ways that you can kind of, reference information and reference the depth of results and stuff. So this is probably not that unusual. Same thing with like painful, giving you access to suffer trick, and the suffer trick letting you inflict the agony status effect, which you then have to look up. In the status effects, I'm saying stunned, stunning, stun trick, etc. So, like, it's common enough that it's probably not going to be a big deal in the long run. But at first glance, at first touch, it does feel a little, how can I put this? It feels a little frictiony, upon first meeting this sort of mechanic. It feels a little like, oh, why do you make me do so much work? Kind of, which, I can live with, I guess. Also, this is stuff that you do once. So the solution to this is, for somebody who's into this sort of shit, or at least the story guide, build the stuff beforehand and just have it, hand them out. I'm a big believer in handouts for players whenever possible. You can ask the Fanda folks for the games that I've run. I usually will prepare I'll help them prepare their characters, but then I'll also prepare a full I'll go through the trouble of making their character sheet. Again, we make the character with them. I don't make the characters for them, but then I'll make the character sheet and I'll make sure to include a document that includes all their abilities. Here's everything about your abilities. This is what you roll. These are the calculations. Here are the specific page numbers that explain your abilities in case you want to refer to them further. If your weapons are here, all right, here's your weapons. Here's what they do. A quick reference. I'm a big fan. Index cards for status effects, stuff like that. And when you're online, there are still ways to kind of handle that as well. But I find those very, very, very useful. So the workaround for stuff like this is that stuff like this only really happens in the moment, unless you're, again, creating a lot of custom weapons on the fly. And if you are, at that point, you probably know the system well enough that it's fine. You already, you learn. It's not that, this stuff is not that complicated. Right? Once you know what fast acting toxin does, which at its core, despite that it was 4 paragraphs, at its core is basically by default, does 1 injury per level, basically, that you bought this at. So if you got 3 hits spent on poison, you just dealt like 3 injuries levels worth of poison to somebody, which, now that I think about that, is really bad. 3 injuries. Well, it's really bad in that, like, wow, this person's not really injured, but also now that really injured person, and again, we saw that yesterday. I did it just for that from yesterday. But I really like that. In fact, the closer you are to death, the more sort of powerful you become, to a point. At least you have that chance to dig further. I like that it is encouraging you to put yourself out there. I dig that a lot. So overall, yeah, I'm liking so much about what I'm seeing in the system. It feels so far like it feels familiar enough with the D10 dice pools that there's a coziness to it, but it fixes a lot of the stuff I didn't like from the from the old D10 dice pool, or stuff that just felt like, well, yeah, no, that's just how it is. Oh boy. And makes it a lot more flexible. I think a lot more fun. I like this that I'm seeing overall. Let's look at armor. Instead of providing enhancement, armor provides additional injury boxes for the wearer. Like weapons, armor has tags that modify it in some way. Basic armor provides 1 additional injury box, which is removed before bruised injuries. The injuries provided by mundane armor can only absorb damage from physical hits. Damage from spells carrying the elemental, emotional, ethereal, and psychic attunements require special armor tags to function against. Choose up to 2 tags to customize your armor, although that rare and special armor can have, okay, like weapons. Here's some tags. Let's see. Concealable, easy to hide, +2 enhancement to actions. Okay, elemental resistance. Cool. I like that this is an option. So you can resist like fire, stuff like that. Okay, cool. Exquisite material. Armor is made of a rare or exotic material. Okay, so you've got your adamantium armor or whatever, an excuse to have unobtainium armor. Dig it. Fitted, the armor is well protected but unrestricted, but only have to do defensive actions. I like that. So something that makes it easier to move. Hey, and Tariq 2321, thanks for the follow. Thank you so much, buddy. Let's see here. Impenetrable. Armor is made of a special material that makes it hard to pierce through normal means. I really do need, I don't know if I have any alerts, right? I don't think I have any on-screen alerts that happen when people like follow or subscribe. I need to fix that. I'll see if I can work on that tonight. But in the meantime, at least I see the alert over here, and I can give you a personal hello. Welcome in, Tariq. Welcome in. Let's see. Impenetrable. The armor is made of a special material that makes it hard to pierce the normal means or ability advantage on defensive actions. Can be paired with concealed, magic resistance, padded, spiked. Okay, so that's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. Little tags. Pretty straightforward. And we did say earlier that the additional injury boxes basically like are per scene effectively. Armor can't protect from magic so by default, well, no, specifically damage from spells carrying the elemental, emotional, ethereal, and psychic attunements. So those kinds of magic, Phoenix, are the ones that normal armor doesn't protect you against. Armor that has elemental resistance can be made to resist against specific elements that might be added by the elemental tag. But like lightning, unless it's armor that's specifically meant to like resist electricity, for example, it's not going to protect you from lightning or fire. And of course, these sort of emotional, ethereal, and psychic attunements, those would, I guess, bypass armor as well, because they're going to cause a more, magical kind of damage. But like, if it was a force attack or just like a bullet of earth, of stone, like a rock or something, yeah, armor, that's a physical attack. That's a physical attack. So no, this makes sense to me. All right, and then tools are basically, they're just bonuses, and they have tags. Cool. So exceptional, which means it can do additional enhancements. Expendable, easy to find materials, relatively easy to remake or rebuild. Oh, that's nice. So if the character loses this item, by the next session, the founder crafted a copy requiring an action. Nice. Eye-catching, tune to stunning, handling influence actions, you look the part, multi-use. Okay, so these are good examples. And I suspect that the final game will probably have even more tags for items. I can see a lot of these tags being like some interesting uses of tags for items. Okay, yeah, that makes better sense about armor. Exactly. Really love the versatile list of tags for all. Exactly. And I can't help but think that we'll see more tags in the final book. because I like this. I like again. It's okay. We've got a basic system. Items, all things like weapons, armor. Just stuff is like an object, and then an object. Its level, right? So objects will generally have like a kind of a level to them. Like armor will have a number of enhancements that it provides. Weapons will have a number of enhancements they provide. Same thing with items; they'll have a number of enhancements they provide. Although those levels, even then, are maybe defined by tags. So it has the exceptional tag, twice, bringing its enhancement to a total of +3, for example. So it has that enhancement level, and it has a set of tags. But then that covers everything. That covers weapons, that covers armor, that covers just regular everyday items. So it's the same system for all of them, but they're still different enough. That's like, yeah, but the enhancements from weapons specifically apply to these things. Let's do their tags. The enhancements from armor specifically apply to these things. Let's do their tags, and et cetera with the rest. So I like this. I like the general concept. I like what they're doing. It's pretty straightforward. Again, the other thing that I hope and expect to see in the book is a lot more, besides more tags, also just more examples. So for example, fast for vehicle, huge for vehicle. So for example, a fast, huge vehicle might be a bug. Well, first of all, the whole point of huge is that it can't be moved from one place to another without a vehicle. But if it is a vehicle already, then hey, huge items can be used on multiple people. So like a fast, huge vehicle would be like a bus or something. There's all sorts of things here. Like for example, I would expect some kind of durable tag for items. For example, rugged. Well, I guess rugged makes it particularly durable, I guess. But I think I can imagine more tags. And I can imagine a bunch of example items just to kind of get players started. And also, again, look, these are heirlooms. So let's see, heirlooms. These appear to be now special, sort of like magical items. So that's cool. Talented artificers, proficient in the magic of curse workings, craft items of impressive power. They bind the magic of the tattered world. Is this the first time we've seen the world referred to as the tattered world? I don't remember. We did skip a lot of fluff, so it may have been mentioned in some of the fluff. But I don't feel like I've read the term the tattered world before. I wonder if that is an early term or something that we're going to be used more often, right? Or if it's more of an artificer kind of term. Because it's not like called the cursed world, it's called the tattered world. Interesting. Anyway, into objects transformed into occult implements. So basically curse workers, curse crafters. Curse crafters, like lens crafters, curse crafters. These objects run the gamut from useful tool to magical focus to powerful weapon. So let's see, gear heirlooms. Gear heirlooms are objects imbued, that's my pronunciation today, with power that grants them small amounts of magic. A character with a gear heirloom has an item with one or two minor functions that help her make her way. Making your way downtown through the tattered world, reading my automatic notebook. The automatic notebook, speaking of which, takes the form of a well-loved moleskin. The name inscribed on the page reading, "If lost, please return to," is not yours, but if you do lose it, the notebook finds its way back to you. Finding my way back to you. Finding my way back to you, girl. With a burning love inside. I'm kind of in a singing mood today. I don't know why. The owner of this heirloom may leave its pages open within earshot of a conversation or may dictate to its blank interior. It then functions as a scribe, recording anything it hears for the duration of one scene in pristine, masculine handwriting. These inscriptions last until the end of the story. This is okay. Look, if any of you, and you might not be, I understand that I am a gentleman of a certain age, and perhaps my audience is not big on TikTok, which I understand if that's the case. I get it. But if you are at all active in TikTok and your algorithm looks even remotely like mine, you probably spent the past couple of weeks getting hit constantly with ads for like this AI transcription dingle hopper card looking thing that attaches to the back of your phone and transcribes your notebooks. Boy, they really tried to sell me on one of those. And it transcribes what it hears, using AI. And apparently, of course, it has, like, you can talk to ChatGPT, because of course it does everything, talks to ChatGPT these days. Um, but yeah. Anyway, that's this thing. That's this thing. Apparently, you can buy it for like $80 on TikTok. Enjoy. Brace of endless knives. This heirloom is not the knives themselves, but instead the brace or bandolier that holds them, whether strapped across the chest or belted to the wrist or thigh. Whenever the user holsters a knife in the brace and throws it, a new one appears. This duplication effect does not function on relic blades, but produces an indefinite supply of non-magical ones. Now that's just 2 dots. That's dope. That one's dope as fuck. I like that. It's edgy. It's edgy. Sure, it's a real edgelord kind of thing, but also worth it. Worth it so that I never have to go deal with like, oh, you're out of knives. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm never out of knives. Fuck you. Knives forever. I like that. I like that item. I want that. I want that item. Even if I don't, even if I have a character that has no ability to use knives, they have no arms. I don't care. Endless knives. Canteen of fresh water, not always a canteen. This heirloom can also be a sleek. So, I mean, these are just classic magical items, honestly. Like a container of endless liquid, you know. A vessel's always portable, always full of clean, portable water. Perhaps more importantly, in the defense against dehydration, the user can pour water from it, ideal for cleaning wounds or preparing food. Like super, super handy. Ever-ready bag. Favored by outcasts, heirloom is a small backpack or satchel that always contains precisely enough necessities for any emergency. When the user takes advantage of its function, the ever-ready bag contains enough money to pay for a ride to the nearest town or city, a change of clothes, and enough food for one person for a day. Once its benefit has been used, it must recharge, requiring a session of downtime before uses. I would straight up commit murder for this thing. It doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a guarantee that you have transportation, change of clothes, and enough to eat. Like, this is all I need. This is all I need. If I have this, that's it. I'm done. It's over for you bitches. You'll never see me again. Impossible ATV. The frame of this all-terrain vehicle. Look, so we're out of the classic magical item thing and into the impossible ATV. Frame of this all-terrain vehicle looks no different than any other, but its chassis and wheels have been imbued with woven magic. So long as the driver holds at least one curse die, the ATV crosses any surface at no risk to itself or its driver, including over water, acid, or molten rock, ignoring all complications from area effects. The driver may bleed one curse die on a pilot action to instead drive the ATV along impossible surfaces, such as vertically or upside down. Want it so much. The magic resonates only with curses. Characters incapable of holding curse die must hold on tightly or risk falling and are not protected from any environmental hazards they might drive through. So you're not using this to rescue bystanders. You are, however, using this to like live your fucking Jujutsu Kaisen dreams and drive or you know, like Shadowrun Cyberpunk dreams and ride your ATV up the side of an office building. Yes, I like that. The Master Key, you guys, is pretty classic, I'm guessing. Yeah, it looms as a pass card that can unlock any digital lock, or it unlocks any door. Okay, so there's 2 versions. One that can unlock all non-digital doors, and one that can unlock any digital door. Cool, I like that. I like that they're 2 separate ones, too. Mutable ID. Okay, so this is the Doctor's Psychic Paper. Psychoacoustic earbuds. Heirloom is a innocuous pair of wireless earbuds in the owner's favorite color. When placed in the ear, as long as the owner holds one curse die, she may use her action to eavesdrop on the surface thoughts of those around her within close range. This does not reveal anything deeper than surface level. Musings may be detected and resisted by supernatural protections, which provoke a clash. Cool, super handy. Now, relic heirlooms are the accursed. Okay, but what if I want a flaming sword? What if I want to beat your ass with a magical item? That's all right. The game is here for you. Presents the Slayer's argument. Armament. My argument is this. And there we go. Look. Enhancement. It's a +2 enhancement weapon with the brutal and deadly tags. And you can just look those up and then it's more damage and whatever. Anyway, this relic is always a weapon, typically a firearm or blade, inscribed with words of power to grant it strength against a specific enemy. It is customary for the battleground angels to be gifted a Slayer's armament when they come of age, usually alongside a pledge to use it for just reasons. I'm going to use it for just reasons. Upon taking this relic, word of power, fuck off, eh? Upon taking this relic, determine what classification of antagonist this weapon specializes in destroying. Yeah, there we go. Word of power, fuck off, Faye. Uh, while used against that type of creature, it gains the wounding tag and ignores 1 point of durability advantage the target may possess. If the target provokes a clash, the accursed adds half her entanglement in enhancement die on the roll to overcome it. Interesting. All right, Silver Dagger. Enhancement +2 to piercing and shield. Heirloom is a short blade up to 18 inches length and labeled ritually, not brutally, ritually purified silver and imbued with the magic of courses.
Curse you all!
The power of the silver protects the user from the predations of monsters. While wielding the silver dagger, apply its enhancement to stacks to defense actions against non-human. Oh, so it's a weapon that actually helps defend you. Interesting. Purifying bow. I like bows. Enhancement +2. Long range and piercing. Longbow and brace of arrows made from ancient sanctified tree. This relic blesses the user with the ability to purge corruption from its targets. Its arrows burns those with a curse.
Curse you all!
When taking this edge, determine what sort of targets the purifying bow was blessed against. Whenever you make a ranged combat attack with the bow against the designated target, you may bleed 1 curse die to add the painful tag. Nice. Okay, like this, you kind of have to charge it. It feels like what is it, like Quincy from Bleach. I make a lot of anime references. Deal with it. And then you charge the arrow with power. Ow! Blessed Plate, 3 dots, armor 1, tags, elemental resistance fire, exquisite material, padded, and impenetrable. This heirloom is a complete suit of plate, inscribed with protective glyphs of warding, festooned with holy sigils, marks to defend from harm as obvious and as unusual as wearing plate armor in the modern day would be, or should be rather. However, there's no denying its protective abilities. The wearer gains access to a new defensive trick, Bulwark. 1 to 3 hits. Each hit spent on this trick increases the armor rating of the armor by 1 until the end of your next turn. This trick may only be purchased once per round. Cool. I like it. Super protective. I could see a whole game session, around being presented, you and your little group of weirdos being presented with a person, a young woman, a young man, a child perhaps, somebody otherwise relatively helpless, who is clad head to toe in this blessed plate. And you are given the task. They need to be at such a place by such a time. And like basically everyone else on the planet is trying to kill them. Your mission, get them there alive. And then just the rest of the session is just the wildest shit on earth that you can throw at them, and you can be pretty sure that your SGC will survive, or at least make it through most of it, while giving your players the chance to just cause some mass destruction. I think that would be a hell of a lot of fun, honestly. Shadow form armor, woven from shadows, 1 to 3. Okay, so this is for. Beyond providing a level of protection, shadow form armor shifts and transforms along with the user making a favorite of primals, another accursed capable of changing shape. It's a mutable thing. It hides from observation, provoking a clash to notice it. Interesting. Cool. I like that. Okay. Oh, here we go. Some sample tools. Oh no. Okay. No. These are still magical items though. These are rare and strange objects that grant an accursed access to the magic that she normally could not use. Ooh. Each tool has an obligation or story hooks associated with owning one. The player is required to answer the obligation's questions, which the hooks with the story guide should note down and work into the greater story. Story guides are free to always use obligations to compel a character's torment. All right, these are interesting. These are more like. It's funny that they just call them tools. These are like artifacts. It's like the term I would have used. Let's look at the empty bowl first. And then after that, we're going to do a quick ad break. So the empty bowl is a 3-dot tool. The empty bowl is a simple wooden vessel. Unlike its many mundane cousins, it cannot hold any food or drink. Fill it with hearty soup and it vanishes in seconds. Pour water into its basin and it evaporates as quickly as it is filled. The tool is a meditative focus on the hungry's eternally voracious nature. Anyone willing to endure the gnawing, pervasive hunger that comes with resonating with the empty bowl finds herself capable of utilizing hungry spells. Once per scene, as long as the character is holding one more curse die than required, she may cast a foundation spell from Vital Force that does not require bleeding curse dice to cast. She may activate it and use it as though she had purchased it with experiences, ignoring any entanglement requirements. Special: if the character is a hungry, he may use the bowl as many times as he likes as long as he holds the requisite curse dice. Obligation: use of the empty bowl is always intentional. No one activates it by accident. When you take this edge, you must answer the following questions. What do you crave, and what will it take to satisfy you? And then the story guide is encouraged to use that to fuck with you, basically. But also you have access to like hungry spells. And I'm guessing the other ones are going to be similar to, okay, that was like a sorcerer thing. So we'll see that one right when we get back from the ads. But this is cool. This is cool. All right, ad time. We'll be back soon. And we're back. All right, so I kind of looked at the other ones. They have some flavor, but they all do basically the same thing. Family Secret Text gives you access to sorcerer spells from the Thaumaturgy. And the obligation is, who gave this to you and what do you owe them for it. Hand of Glory gives you access to dead magic, specifically metaphysics spell. And the obligation is, where do you acquire this? What are you now haunted by? Or a Calcum Loop is for getting outcast powers, foundations from manifestations, and Shard of the Moon is a primal one. So just one for each, different flavor, but they all have the same basic effect and sort of a similar, some kind of requirement. So really cool concept overall. I like that. I like that from the beginning. There's a way for other accursed to have access to the powers from other. Also, these are specific types, right? So specifically, it's only giving you access. Like the Empty Bowl is only giving you access to foundation spells from Vital Force, and specifically only foundation spells from Vital Force that don't require bleeding curse dice to cast, right? So it's a very specific set of requirements. So I could see, right, other tools that give you access to other specific spells from different, categories. So that's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, now we're finally getting into character creation, making an accursed. Each player creates an accursed character as their entry point into Curseborne. Character is the player's avatar in the game world, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the character is where you experience thrilling adventures in the safety of your own home, accomplish something you have never tried in real life, use your imagination to build fantastical stories, build empathy by portraying someone completely unlike yourself, and explore personal feelings in a relatively safe environment. This is just like, hey, what is a character? How should I, these are the things. Okay, this is just like, we're gonna skip through a lot of this. We're looking at more of the mechanics rather than just like the philosophy of role playing, right? And some ideas like your character may be a cursor, but that doesn't mean they're without the capacity for joy and success. It may be more powerful than the average human, but likewise that doesn't mean they're immune to hostile foes and forces. Heroes to some, villains to others, blah, blah, blah. So step 1, your concept. Step 2, your lineage path. The sign of your lineage is a major or minor path. Gain the skills and attributes listed for your linear path, and choose torments for your character path. Character based on the path. If it is major, gain its inheritance. Okay, so we had the general idea of the lineage path and the family path, right? And like that, if one is major, one is minor, you can choose which of the two. Cool, solid. Yeah, this makes sense. What is a role path? Again, the skills and attributes list. Oh yeah, no, we did see that. We did see that earlier in some of the role paths. And then gain 4 skill dots to put into any skills, gain 5 dots to distribute between 3 contacts. Cool, and we did see that contacts are pretty useful. In fact, that's interesting. Everybody gets 3 contacts to start with. Before, like, contacts, again, was one of those things that not everybody took, and the people that did take it often regretted it because it didn't get used often enough. But now it's like you get contacts by default, and contacts are more generally useful. I like that. Set your health, defense, and entanglement, which I'm sure we'll see how to set that. Then step 6, your edges, your spells. Assign 5 dots into edges. Edges, I'm guessing, are kind of like backgrounds or merits. Gain 3 spells from either character's lineage practice spells or their family path's secret spells. Oh, so the secret spells are not by default. It's something you can pick up from your family, but it's optional. Like, you don't have to. Cool. But I'm guessing you probably would. Step 7, create bonds between characters. Gain a single level 2 bond with one other character and level 1 bonds with all the others. Okay, that's really straightforward. I was expecting the bond creation to be a little bit more involved. But it's pretty straightforward. Okay. Assign 3 aspirations to your character. Okay, cool. That's classic. So decide on a concept, blah, blah, blah. What do you choose? Choose the lineage path. Here's the quick descriptions of each. Here's your torments. Players have, okay, so let's look into torments, right? Because we've seen them described. There's definitely more for us to learn here. Let's see. The accursed struggle against the curses that bind them. When they assert their human nature over the damnation, the power of their entanglement pushes back. Every accursed walks a tightrope between human and monster, and their torments tempt them to give into their darker impulses at every step. You have 1 personal torment and 1 lineage torment that always affects them. At character creation, the player chooses 1 lineage torment from those provided or comes up with a new one with story guide approval. Okay, yeah, so we've seen the lineage torments in the lineage description, and the second torment is always the more interesting one. But then he comes up with a personal torment that either augments his lineage torment or creates a new temptation. With help from the story guide, he should craft something that he wants to be tempted by and sometimes to give into. This should be something that comes up often enough to be interesting, but infrequently enough that it does not get boring. Okay, and then some example personal torments: indulge in my desire for violence, allow no act of humiliation or bullying to go unanswered. If you have the opportunity to use someone else's actions to elevate yourself, you do so. Okay, this is cool. I don't mind that it's so open-ended. But I feel like a lot of players will just want a list to pick from, and there is kind of a list to pick from, so this is not bad. I feel like maybe even more examples would be better. But I like that you can make your own. But also, you want the flexibility to make your own, but also I feel like a lot of players coming into a game, they just give me what to pick from. Don't make me like create everything from scratch. You torments a trigger that is seen to that character. These triggers often result in the character giving into her torments in other ways that will make it more likely for her to fall into temptation. These triggers could be things like the rich son of blood, seeing the innocent harmed, having my courage challenged. The breadth of the trigger is subject to player taste and story guide approval. Torments should come into play at least once per story, but not more often than every other session. Okay, some good guidance there. The player always decides when his character succumbs to torments. The story guide may bribe, cajole, or compel a player into acting on his character's darker nature in return for a reward and the delicious taste of troll. Okay, so it's still always in your character's control, which I like, or in your control rather, whether your character gives in to their torment. So then it's on both the game and the story guide to make giving into the torment. Of course, on the player's willingness to put themselves in trouble, which one would hope is high, but not every character will, sadly enough, to put themselves in trouble, to have these torments kind of come in and affect. So okay, I dig this. Let's see. Player always decides when a character gives in, the player gains a curse die. Okay, so there's a straight up simple game reward. You gain a curse die, and sometimes you need them, especially for some of these, like the hungry. It might be better to give in to your torment than to lose, be curse die less and give in to your hunger and let the creature out. As the character takes actions to satisfy the torment, the story guide may ask any of the following questions. Will ask, grant +1 enhancement that stacks towards the action for each answered to a maximum of 3. How does this make you feel? Oh, okay. So there's a reward for kind of getting into it, for kind of like exploring in the scene how the torment is affecting your character. Interesting. How does it make you feel? Do you want to do this again? How do you think this affects your crew? Do you care about how others perceive you right now? Are you satisfied, or do you want more? Additionally, when the character indulges the torment, the story guide may ask, what's the worst you think could happen? Whatever the answer the player gives, intensify it. Whenever a character yields to her lineage torment, gain a curse die as per normal. Additionally, instead of gaining enhancement, she may choose one of the 2 following options: gain temporary curse die equal to her entanglement for the rest of the scene, or gain temporary curse dice equal to twice her entanglement that, if not bled by the end of the scene, remove all her curse die and she succumbs to her damnation. Jesus Christ. But I like it. That there's an option for escalating further into just raw chaos. I dig that. Okay, all lineage benefits. All lineages confer the following benefits regardless of the weight the player puts on the path in the character. So assign 1 point to Elatria. So yeah, everybody starts at 1. Gain 1 personal torment and 1 lineage torment, chosen between the 2 options that define how the lineages curse torments a character in their moments of weakness. And as we established, the second option is always the most fun one based on what we've seen. Gain access to 3 spell practices, which are the init to the lineage and define which kind of spells the character might purchase. Right, we saw those in all the lineage descriptions. Gain the lineage damnation that defines what happens when the character fails to hold back their curse. And access to assets that a contact from that path can provide, and the character of Cosmo, which we also saw. Determine if the lineage path is major or minor. Gain the following benefits based on your choice. Which we saw all this, and we see how they get distributed. Some examples of character creation. Choose a family path, and then you choose. Oh, so the motif things that they present you with 3, you choose one motif chosen from the characters list of unique motifs. So this was like the stuff that's like, you can when an elemental spell requires you to bleed a curse die, you reduce the requirement by 1 all the way up to 0 if that sort of thing. But also, if you cast an elemental type spell, you can spend an extra curse die to increase its area of effect, and then there will be like a third one. So you choose only one of those. So that's kind of cool. All right. I'm guessing with experience, you can probably buy the others. Access to assets is fine. Access to secret spells, right? So when you're buying spells, you can also buy the ones that your family has. Determine if the family path is major or minor. Again, distribute the dots as needed. Cool. Step 4, choose a role path as your profession, right? Which we saw that, and that determines a few more. I kind of like this. That like the role paths are basically like little packs of like, all right, well, here's some standard skills, and then access, and then in addition to just the standard skills, just sort of like pre-mades effectively, they also have like access to assets that contact from the path can provide if the character calls upon them. So there's a little things. Example, academic, of course, yeah, we saw this earlier, so this is solid. And I think, yeah, here we go. There's more details now. So here's the extra abilities that you get. I kind of like this. That the way you get your points for all your stuff is you get it first of all by deciding, from your lineage, which side of your lineage is major, which side is minor, and then choosing your family path, same thing, and then choosing your role path. With all those points, then you actually distribute your stats. I like this. I like this. Yeah, academic, activist. Okay, so I'm sure the book will have more. Although this is a pretty decent amount of them, not too bad, honestly. Let's see, and then finalize your statistics. So then on top of all that, once you've defined all that, you get an additional 4 skill slots for any of them. So no more thinking of, remember the old 13, 7 or 9 and 5? Then, or hell, I think I remember some of them, it was like 3, like 9, 5, 3, or 13 or 12, like 9, 5, or something like that. It's been a while. But no, it's determined completely differently. But it's not bad. Okay, so your defense is 1 by default, with stamina up to purchase tricks. Integrity is 1, you may resolve it up, and your character has 3 injury levels made up of 7 injuries. So everybody just has this by default. And all characters start with the same amount of entanglement. It's usually 1, but you may wish to start a higher entanglement rating. So I guess your entanglement is basically your power stat. And then contacts. Contacts are rated from 1 to 3. Carry tags to define what they are good at. All right, we did see contacts before, and these are just some real examples again. Okay, 6, gain edges and spells. Okay, 5 edge dots. Edges define how the character is different from those around her. They give her a leg up on the competition and define aspects of her life that are superior to others. An edge is a literal advancement to her normal life and makes her extraordinary and different. Okay, good. I don't think we've seen a list of edges yet. And then the 3 spells, yes, we know where to look. Okay, here we go. Here's the edges. Good. We're about to... I knew we were about to see... I knew we were about to see the edges because I mentioned them. Let's see here. While paths define the character's past experiences, her cursed state, and how she deals with it, edges provide an additional level of texture. These grant her benefits to social situations, procedural processes, and the like. Some edges may also grant access to locations or items with a touch of the supernatural, granting her a hidden layer or a key that opens the way to other worlds. Okay, so dots per edge, blah, blah. So these are, again, they feel a little bit like merits and flaws from the other one. I have sometimes mixed feelings with the whole like getting merits, but at the same time it can be a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun. My concern, and I don't see it here, is that I don't see so one of my problems with older World of Darkness is merits and flaws, and the fact that like, oh, flaws would give you negative points that then you would use to buy more merits. So it's this whole sort of back and forth power, min-maxing power gaming, kind of like choose the most amount of flaws that are least likely to actually have an effect on your character during play, so you can have all those extra points to buy all these other merits that make your flaws pointless. And I don't see that here. Which is cool. So let's kind of like scroll through these real quick. So merits. So we've got ambusher. Gain access to the following trick. Okay, so merits will do stuff like give you access to tricks on specific action. This is an initiative action, lets you hold your initiative. Field medic, medicine 3, through training you're quick to provide additional medical first aid to your friends with an ally taking damage. You may spend 1 momentum to reflexively move 1 ranged man towards them. Once you're close enough to provide aid, you administer first aid in 1 round. This cannot be part of a mixed action. Cool. Hands on the wheel. Okay, so they have prerequisites, some of them. Pilot 2, you gain enhancements in specific situations if you do certain things while piloting. Okay, so we got the general idea. They will give you enhancements or give you access to tricks on specific actions. Quicken the dead, close combat 3 is required. No one is faster than you. You believe in the philosophy that striking twice is always better than once. When you make mixed actions with close combat, you always use the higher pool rather than the lower. That's actually really cool. Ricochet, your keen eye turns to your misses and direct hits. The bullet bounces just where you need to go. So basically, oh, cool. So after a ranged combat attack, spend 1 momentum. Okay, so they give you extra stuff that you can do with momentum. I like that, actually. I like that there are specific edges that let you do extra stuff with an already existing game resource. I kind of dig that. Influence edges, same thing, but for influence. So anonymity, different levels of anonymity. If you have anonymity, you can't take fame. Cool. Favors owed, notoriety. Characters notorious. Cool. Resource. Okay, classic resource. You have a great deal of resources at your beck and call. This could be raw materials, equipment, information, or simply cold hard cash. Other people respond when you flash it around. Cool. So even with 0 resources, so even resources 1 is you have a generous disposable income. I remember those days. I once upon a time, I too had a generous disposable income. That is no longer the case. Whenever you leverage your resources for a relevant influence action, gain a +1 enhancement that stacks, includes invoking a path for access. You are known for your wealth at level 2 and level 3. You can pick up the best and most quality items. Okay, so cool. So you don't need to, as opposed to some games that we played, you don't need to buy resources just to survive. That's good to know. Sweetheart, do you want lap time? Do you want to be on my lap? Yeah. Come on. Come on. I see you up there looking at me. Come on. The boys want to see you. Come on. No? She appears to not be what she's, or maybe you do. I don't know. You keep looking up at me. Do you want lap time or not? I don't know if she wants lap time. Sweetheart. Come on. All right, fine. No lap. The more you want, the less. Yeah, that is exactly how it works. She says no. She knows it's Sam Hay and thus has the extra power. Yeah, true. Need to be as the cat, aloof. Exactly. The more once I stop paying attention to her, she'll just leap up here. So see, investigation edges. Investigation edges pertain to investigation scenes and procedural types of actions. They reveal evidence and help characters with other long-term projects. Determine silence. Okay, so you can defend yourself against interrogation. It's a feature. It doesn't matter if you have a piece of tech is broken or a bit rusty. It's part of its charm. Whenever you use a tool, vehicle, or the piece of equipment that has the flaws or defects, you treat any complication from using it as an enhancement instead, up to the rating of this edge. I kind of dig that. Very, very specific. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, you're up on this level now. Come on. You're so close to being on my lap. So close. Oh my God. Yes. You're almost on my lap. I don't know if chat is getting any of this. Let's see. Let's change. No, you probably still can't see you. He still can't see you. But hey, Mang, welcome in. It's Diwali in your country today. Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali. Look, my cat is here to wish you a happy Diwali as well. Also, happy Halloween to all who celebrate. Happy Diwali to all who celebrate. Happy Angry Cat Day to all who celebrate, which is mostly just me and my cat, who is forever filled with endless rage. That is her default expression. What are you even looking at right now? There's nothing there. Are you looking at ghosts again? She's looking at ghosts again. Sweetheart, look. You see, so, folks, you see. Wait, you gotta. Her other ear. You can't really tell at this angle. You can't really tell that one of her ears is clipped. So oh, there we go. She's gone. Goodbye. But yeah, she does have like one of her ears is clipped because she's a rescue. All right, back to it. And welcome in, Himang. As always, appreciate your company here. She sees things. Oh boy, does she. All right, so cool. So we have some edges specifically for helping with investigation. And here we go, supernatural edges. So this feels very similar to merits from older versions of World of Darkness. Allure, your tool being to be resisted, Archon's Blessing. And she wants slap as long as it doesn't involve touching. No, exactly. She wants me to be furniture. She always wants me to be furniture. Like perfect dad would be just I never move. I sit in one place. I only move to give her pettings when she is on top of me, but otherwise I do not move so she can lay on top of me as much as she wants. And then I would get up only like 3 times a day, which is to feed her. Like that would be the perfect existence for her. And I do my best to provide. I'm going to be honest. I do my best to provide. Okay, Endless Fury, Extended Palette. Oh, cool. So you can eat extra things. Flexible spell casting. You can choose one spell of attunement. Cool. So we still need to see spells. Are we going to have time today? We have an hour left for today's stream, and we still have so much to go through. But I like what we've seen. Overall, though, even if we don't get to all of it, honestly, I think what we've seen of Curseborne is enough to convince me that, first of all, I think the Kickstarter just finished. I got an alert, I think, a little bit earlier. You know what? Let me see. Let me check. Let me bring up the browser and see. I think the Kickstarter just finished. I think I got an alert telling me, let me see, that it was like successfully funded. Let's see. You back this project. Okay, so this means it was funded, right? The curse has been lifted. We did it over the past 31 days. More than 3,000 backers came together. Achieved over 650% of its base funding. Wow. So so it happened. It happened. It's officially done. You can no longer join the Kickstarter. So if you were waiting for me to finish or making your decision, I have failed this city. Hopefully, if you were going to get this game, you'd already decided by this point. We're just looking at it at this point. They already were getting my money. I had pledged. My decision was made, and good that I had at least that, by the time I got to this, because they already took my money basically. That I'm like, okay, cool. I like what I'm seeing, because it's definitely too late to go back now. Definitely too fucking late to go back now. Let's see. Initial secure headquarters. Okay, character bonds. Yada yada. Okay, yeah, we know what those are. Aspirations. These are long-term aspirations, crew aspirations, short-term aspirations. Okay, this has been like kind of similar to stuff we've seen in previous games. Experience. How do you get? Okay, here we go. As you play your characters, how do you level up? They embark on the personal and group stories, overcome or fall to adversity. They naturally develop, which in Curseborne manifests in the form of experience. Experience is assigned individually, and other experience awards are distributed at the crew level. Cool. So, character. Okay, so attending, you get 1 XP for showing up. An aspiration, a short-term aspiration gives you 1 XP. All characters do an aspiration. Everybody gets another one. A character achieves a long-term aspiration. All characters can achieve the long-term aspiration for this XP can be earned again, but you get 2 extra XP for your long-term. The crew achieves 3 aspiration, 3 for everybody. Players spend half their starting momentum pool in a single scene. The amount spent must be greater than 1 for the team. Interesting. So there's an XP motivation to use up momentum, to keep using it. Interesting. I do kind of like that. And then the characters reach a story milestone and set by the story guide. Another 1 for the whole team. All right, pretty straightforward. So what's it cost? Because this is one of my problems with Old World of Darkness, that it was either always, how can I put this? It was either too fast or too slow. It never felt right. Either it felt like, okay, based on this, you're showing me that that are all these things, right? Like level 5 powers and all this stuff. And then the XP cost for that stuff and the rate of XP gain was such as that was like, I'm going to have to play this game weekly for at least 2 years before I can even begin to afford like level 4 in the thing that I want to do. Or otherwise, you had GMs who tried to overcorrect and gave out XP like candy, and then you got these people who was like, "Yes, I've been a vampire for 1 month, and I have 3 level 5 disciplines, and I'm going to be fighting Kane next week." So let's see. Let's see how this game handles that. How do I feel about it? All right. So added 1 new dot and new resisting skill. Okay, cool. So it's just 5. It's not. So straight away. Players may spend their sheet at the end of a session. Okay, so you don't do it in the middle. Does not include prerequisites, social skills, powers for person, right? Some of them have that, but it's defined there. But cool. It is just a direct cost. This is good. This is manageable. 4 for a skill level, 5 for an attribute level. Because here's the thing: Old World Darkness, I'm sure y'all who are watching this know, it was an exponential cost. So it was like the XP cost times the new level. So for example, if you had a skill at level 2, you had the investigation skill at level 2, and you wanted to buy it at level 3, it would have been 4 XP times 3, because you're buying level 3, which would have been 12 XP total. And then other stuff. Some stuff would cost up to 7 points per level. That was ridiculous. And you would get 1 or 2 XP per session at best. This seems like a better rate. You're getting, on an average session, you're getting 1 Yeah, maybe you're probably getting like anywhere from 2 to 4 XP per session, probably on an average session is what you're getting here. And that's enough to bump up a skill, or after a couple sessions, bump up an attribute, or yeah, make some solid changes. So you can, it's enough. The levels are enough that you are basically doing a thing, making some tweak to your character, adding a new capacity, ability, skill, attribute, or power constantly, right? It feels like it's going to be a steady drip of improvement rather than leveling up and you get all this stuff at this level, just pretty much every session, every other session, depending on how the XP gain goes, you're improving a little bit. I like that. I like that approach overall. I think it's a good approach. Again, depends on the level of playtesting they've done to see how well it works. I'm gonna have to assume to a certain point that they've done enough playtesting, and I'm assuming these XP costs are not that different from previous story path. They've done enough playtesting that is probably not like this. This is right. It feels right just from reading on it, like the pace and what I've seen before. This feels comfortable. And then tweaks. In addition to earning and spending experience, players can tweak their characters each session. Tweaks are small, cost-free changes that help a player customize her character to fit the story and her style of play. At character creation, players can't fully anticipate how their characters will work together or the types of problems they will need to solve. Tweaks help counter this lack of prescience. Okay, cool. So shift. Yeah, so this is like common stuff that, like, this is stuff, tweaks are stuff that I would have house ruled before. So I like that they are official now. This is the kind of stuff that in a game that I'm running, yeah, I'll let you like shift a dot. It's like, hey, you know what? I feel like, because it turns out I picked this one skill because I thought I was going to use it, and it turns out it's not that kind of game, or I'm not actually feeling that since I never really used it. Here it doesn't even lay that down. It just lets you like kind of do a tweak. So throughout a few sessions, you can kind of shift here. But normally, like I'll usually make the call, especially if a power hasn't been used during a session or during a game. Go ahead and change it out. Go ahead and change it out. It's fine. So and this just reflects that slow little bit of change that people do, adjustments that they make to their strategies as they go, etc., etc. So yeah, no, I dig this. I dig this. I like that. Very good. Starting at higher entanglement. You know what? We're going to read about entanglement very shortly. But first, it is once again ad time. You know how it goes. Let's go ahead and get them out of the way. Be right back, folks. And we're back. Let's talk entanglement, folks. Let's see. We're almost done with this document. Look at it. We're near the bottom of it. So we're almost done, and then we're opening the other ones. Entanglement. Tables uninterested in playing characters just starting their journey have the option of beginning a chronicle with entanglement above 1. Use the following guideline for beginning play higher entanglement. Make character as usual, then increase. So if you have entanglement 2, add the skill points attribute. Okay, cool. So basically, this is kind of your power level, and the higher your entanglement, the more experienced you should be. So here's some extra stuff. Allowing characters to grow into entanglement 4 makes for the ideal play experience. However, starting directly at those levels can be extremely fun for one-shots and other brief themed chronicles. Cool. Cool. I like this. Honestly, you know what? Straight up, I'm gonna give it a wow because I like that it's really straightforward. It's like we want to play powerful characters for a one shot or a mini arc or whatever. Cool. Here is a quick way to do that. This is what that means. This is what you get. Go. I like that. I like that. That's it. That's the end of that document. That's our system. Yes. 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 Let's keep go. Boop, 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 boop. Scroll, 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 scroll. The Accursed Story Path Ultra and making an Accursed. What do we think, chat? Because I personally think pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think I like what I've seen. I like what they're doing here. I like the system. Yeah, solid. All right, let's grab from here, from Curseborne. Let's grab manuscript 4, I believe, which is the next one. Ooh, Accursed Magic. Look, we're actually going to be looking at some powers finally, and we dive right into entanglement again. Like, what is entanglement? Cursed Magic, chapter details the magic afforded to the accursed by their damnations. Cool. Entanglement. Entanglement connects all accursed characters to the nature of their curse. It builds their tolerance for curse dice, a reflection of their curse manifesting itself through their actions. This ability to control and withstand the power of their curse increases as they grow in power. While this is a measure of a character's power and overall threats she can handle, it does not have any diegetic bearing on the world except for the magic that she can access. Okay, this is good to know. So there's no such thing. Nobody is going to refer as like, they are a 4th level entangled accursed in game. That's not a thing. It's not diegetic. It is only a game mechanic. Cool. Entanglement is rated from 1 to 10, but only ranks 1 through 4 are presented in this book. Entanglement 1 characters are embarking upon their journey for power for the first time and are still learning what it means to be accursed. This is a normal starting point for most campaigns. Character Entanglement 4 have mastered their control over the threads of cursed fate that bind them to the magic of the world. Story guides may choose to start their games at a higher level of entanglement, depending on the sort of story she wishes to tell. Each lineage has their own understanding. So entanglement is it has a game effect, but it is also like a straight up abstraction, just an abstraction of your level of connection to cursed magic. Like recognizes like one of the consequences of magic and supernatural all being tied together in a great big web of curses.
Curse you all!
Is that those who are more embroiled in curses can wield magic and sense its presence. Even mundane people who are suffering under a particularly nasty curse that's not quite a damnation can sense magic on some small level, even if they don't realize that's what's happening. Having any level of entanglement allows a cursor to immediately know when they are in the presence of magic. Interesting. So all the cursor can kind of just vibe with the magic. Okay, curse dice, finally an explanation. As a reflection of her supernatural nature and growing bond with the world's strange magic, characters accumulate and use curse dice. These dice reflect both the accursed's direct connection to their curse and are used to power her spells. As she takes actions that reinforce her accursed nature, she gains curse dice.
Curse you all!
As she pulls on her curse to manipulate the world around her, she bleeds them. Okay, so cool. As a character gains curse dice, they accumulate in a pool. Dice in this pool are considered held. Held dice persist until an effect calls for them to be removed, called bleeding. So I kind of had it right, yeah. Held dice replace an equal number of dice on all actions the character takes. For example, if the character has 5 curse dice accrued and takes a medicine action, the player takes her dice pool for the medicine action, 9 dice, and replaces 5 of those with curse dice. If the character later takes an action with a pool containing 7 dice, the player still replaces 5 of those dice with curse dice. Okay, so it works more or less like I expected again. Some effects check the number of held curse dice to take effect. The character's damnation triggers when she has 0 held curse dice, or a spell may require her to hold 2 or more curse dice to activate, which we saw some examples of that. Other effects require the player to bleed curse dice to take effect. If the effect calling for a bleed requires a rolled action, roll the dice as normal, including the curse dice before bleed, Good thing that they clarified that. And spend the hits as usual. Then remove the requisite number of curse dice from the pool. At the start of the story, all characters possess 1 curse dice. So you always start at 1. Total number of curse dice the character may have at any time is limited by her entanglement. These persist from session to session. To represent curse dice, basically a different color, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So how do you gain curse dice? All sorts of ways. You gain 1 curse die when you fulfill an obligation to your family or your role path. You gain 1 when you give into your personal lineage torment. You gain them for the first time in a scene when the entire crew comes together to solve a problem or deal with a situation. That's one that you need to keep an eye out for. Gain 1 curse die when entering a loophole. If you currently have no curse dice, we don't know what a loophole is, but sure. And gain 1 curse dice when exemplifying your family's themes. Okay. And gain 1 curse die when you take the action required to resolve your damnation effect, even if the character is not currently suffering from its curse. Characters may bleed curse dice through the course of play. So you can bleed them to cast spells, you bleed them to activate an inherent lineage ability, you bleed them to enter a locked liminality at an entrance, and you bleed them when in a loophole to transfer them directly to another accursed. So loopholes are apparently a whole thing. I don't remember seeing loopholes before. Family themes and curse dice. When the determined character has exemplified their family's themes, story guides should lean more towards yes rather than no, unless it is clearly against the themes written into the family. Gaining curse dice is an important part of the game and leaning into the themes. Okay, so I like that the game is telling the story guide, hey, be generous, don't be stingy with the curse dice. Sometimes when a player rolls a pool containing curse dice, it creates altered outcomes. Success and failures shaped by the character's families and torments. These outcomes are called wicked successes. Wicked. Yes, it's fucking wicked. In which the character gets more than she bargained for, and cruel failures in which the kickback from her curse is more than she can manage. Altered outcomes come into play when the curses are highly charged or the character has done something to draw supernatural attention to herself. Use the following guidance. Okay, so anytime the player rolls dice as part of enacting a spell or ritual, she must check for altered outcomes. When a character takes any action within a liminality, altered outcomes, and effects that require a check for altered outcomes, sometimes as part of the rules. Okay, so altered outcomes should only apply when the result, blah, 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 blah. So it's basically result plus or failure plus. Okay, so let's see. Wicked successes happen when a player gains success with consequences or an exceptional success. And any of the curse die in the roll pool are hits. This grants her more than she asked for, which can manifest itself as any of the following. Okay, so basically, any roll that you make is almost always going to include at least 1 curse dice. And if your success includes even 1 of those curse die as a hit, it's a wicked success. Which means either bonds get adjusted because an enemy or rival takes notes, or inspirations, basically. So ideas like this, but something extra happen. You gain an extra status effect, something kind of extra. You curse bind the area your target is in, apply disturbing, motions flaring or over. This I kind of like this. It is a complication. It is a way for your curse to just be constantly affecting the things around you. A reminder that it is a curse. Curse smacks you in the face the more you are charged. Exactly. The more curse power you're carrying, the more the curse is kind of, as you said, smacking you in the face. I dig that. And a cruel failure, it makes sense that if you're failing, the curse just kicks you when you're down. Curse dice tricks. Ooh, anytime a player rolls curse dice, she may use hits generated by those curse dice for special tricks which pull upon her cursed nature. Anytime a player chooses to purchase a curse dice, curse dice trick, she must check for altered outcomes on her next dice roll, no matter what the action is. Okay, so this is every time. Okay, wait. When to use altered outcomes. So it is specifically when a player gains success with consequences or an exceptional success on it and any of the curse side of the pool or roll hits, but only if you're checking for altered outcomes. Altered outcomes are not there all the time, right? It's sometimes, and there are specifically times when you check it, like if you're doing a spell or ritual, if you're doing it in a liminality, stuff like that. But it's not all the time. It's not like if you rolled just randomly and okay, so it's not all the time. It's enough. And I guess usually probably like the GM might Like here we go. Well, curse dice are part of being a curse. Not every roll needs to go wildly out of control anytime. Okay, so good. It's not every dice. I was a little worried that it was going to be every roll. Alter outcome is played anytime the player rolls while using a spell. Story guide is always free to decide that an alter outcome will apply to a roll. Exactly. The story guide can also like do that to increase the stakes. And once per session, each player may ask for an entangled result in which a curse die will make everything more complicated. When they do so, grant them 1 experience. I kind of dig that too. You can go like, hey GM, you know what? I could use more XP. Fuck me over. Fuck me up, XP, GM. Fuck me up. Okay, this is cool. I like this. And this, curse dice tricks, this is cool because this happens on anything. But if you do it, there is a price to be paid. You're depending on the curse. So you can apply curse dice trick to increase an area. Fast friends, you apply this trick into an influence action. Glad handing, otherworldly sense, you apply this trick to an investigation action when you apply this trick and additional evidence with the accursed tag. Cool. Reaching, you apply this track to any appropriate attack and extend the range of the action by 1 range band. Cool stuff. Just little extra things that you can do. Curse dice that you can bump yourself up by leaning. I like it. It's tempting. It's little temptations. Like, you know, you could always make this better for yourself. You can always make this better for yourself if you just lean on your curses a little bit more. It is, however, to be fair, it is a lot of things to remember. There's a lot of little things. It's easy to forget that you can do this. Like you're gonna need some cheat sheets because there's lots. While it is good overall, and I'm pleased with this, there's a lot of tricks. The tricks are remembering what tricks your character has access to. Like for example, this is something that everybody's gonna have access to with curse dice. But then you might have access to only specific tricks because of your specific weapons or equipment, or your family or lineage might give you access, some ability might give you access to specific tricks, and certain tricks are for certain aspects. Like there's enough of them that remembering them, I can see that being a challenge, right? I suspect cheat sheets are going to be very important because it could be very easy to forget that you can do these things. And that makes me a little afraid that if you're spending too much time looking through cheat sheets to remember what you can do, that kind of slows the game down. It makes it feel a little bit more complicated, right? Let's see, curse dice tolerance. Okay, so basically, entanglement 1, you can tolerate up to 5 curse dice. You can learn foundation spells on your lineage spells. 7 curse dice at entanglement 2. 3 gives you 7, and you can learn foundation spells from other lineages. So unless they have any lineage attunement, doesn't have to match hers. And entanglement 4 gives you 9 curse dice. Cool. Curse binding. What is this? Strength of an accursed damnation warps other curses around them. It creates tremors in the web, and those tremors can be felt all around them. When an accursed uses magic or otherwise engages with their curse, that tremor can create a backlash that the accursed refer to as curse binding. Curse binding is never pleasant. It's a common way that mundane people end up with bad shit for no good reason, as a curse binding strays into their path. It's also how more powerful accursed wield their own curse as a bludgeon against others. The effects of curse binding are myriad, but the most common effect is that someone suffering under a curse binding gains the unlucky status effect. Starting at entanglement 5, a cursed can willingly inflict curse bindings on others by bleeding a curse dice. Okay, that's just like, it's mostly flavor, but it's enough that like, yeah, this is like an option. You can just, again, little reminder that it's not just power, it is curses. It is.
Curse you all!
Lineage branches is an overall category that encompasses lineage individual type of magic. Attunements. Okay, so we keep seeing attunements mentioned. Spell attunements describe what kind of effect the spell is creating, who can cast them. Families have developed specific motifs which latch onto spell attunements and give them bonuses, as we've seen. So elemental attunements pertaining to an element of the world, from classical to Taoist to the periodic table. Detection, affinity for a specific element, the ability to be spontaneously generated. Corresponding elemental resistance armor tag is required to work against spells to deal damage with the elemental attunement. Emotional spells manipulate or control target's feelings, state of mind. Magic resistance armor tag. Oh, so there's Phoenix. There's your armor against the other effects: emotional, ethereal, and an elemental. Well, elemental is specifically elemental resistance, and then emotional and ethereal require the magic resistance armor tag. So that's the one. So you need a specific armor that would protect against those levels of magic. So there you go. But it does exist. Cool. Liminal spells are ones that border between magical and physical. This involves conjuring illusions, summoning supernatural creatures, creating so they're basically different types of magic. Lineage unlocks the spell to additional lineages. Physical, pertaining to the material reality of the world. Psychic, attracts the mind. And support, confer beneficial effect to an ally. Create. Okay, cool. Advances. Advances allow a character to repurchase a foundation spells for additional effects. These advances expand the base. Oh, so you can make a spell more powerful by advancing it. Increasing the cost of a trick, granting access to a unique trick. Each advance costs 5 XP, and advances an entanglement prerequisite, which is noted in the spell. Okay, cool. How to read a spell. Okay, so we've got basically a name, cost, attunements, and advances. Checks out. Checks out. So casting spells. Most spells are cast as simple action. Unless otherwise stated, the simple action does not require a rolled action unless it is part of a mixed action. Casting a spell is part of a mixed action. It uses Esoterica at a difficulty 1, and you cannot cast 2 spells together as a mixed action. Okay, cool. So we've got a defined rule for how that works, or doesn't in the case of casting 2 together. Some spells specifically state that they cannot be cast as part of a mixed action. Cool. Certain spells state that they may be cast as a reflexive action, reaction to an action, blah, 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 blah. Clashes. In some instances, a spell may create a flawless effect, or a spell allows for a successful action without a roll. But if 2 effects contest, there's a clash. Okay, cool. Haunting. Okay, so now we've got the actual specific powers. I'm not going to go through all of them. We have half an hour left in today's show. So let's look at a couple here. So for example, okay, so I like though that there's a lot of advancements. So even just looking at one gives you all sorts of stuff. So let's look at the very first one that we get. Mental Fortitude for emotional manipulation. Requires you to hold 2 curse dice. You don't spend them, but they have to be there in order for you to cast it, which I kind of dig. I kind of think you have to charge up to a certain level. You don't then necessarily spend that charge. That's not the cost. The cost is that you have to hold them. You have to be charged up to that minimum level in order to use it. And if you're too tired, if you're too tanked to uncurse, you lose access to that power. Kind of cool. Attunement. So it's an emotional attunement. It's accessible to sorcerers specifically, and it's a psychic attuned. Holding their emotional core inviolate allows the dead. Okay, so cool. So it is a dead thing. It is emotional manipulation. Yeah, these all belong to the dead lineage. Okay, so they're haunting practices, but also sorcerers can pick it. I'm guessing we're going to see lineage sorcerers in a lot of these because that's kind of their thing. Sorcerers get to learn all sorts of things from others. But that's cool. So now we've got a specific denotement on which powers my blue mage can actually pick up. So then as long as you hold these 2 curse dice, gain 1 armor with the magic resistance tag. Hey, but does not function against physical damage. There you go. So this is nice. This is nice. Mental Fortitude, just as long as you have 2 curse dice, you have 1 level of magic resistance armor, which helps against psychic and ethereal damage. Cool. Additionally, you may ignore the first instance of the confused, dazed, or terrified status effect you would suffer in a scene. Nice. And then you can, all the ways you can advance. Each advance costs 5 XP and has an entanglement requirement. So entanglement 2, you can bump it up to mental shell, bleed 1 curse die, and choose an ally. So this actually has a cost, bleed 1, but you still have to meet the requirements. You still have to hold 2. And choose an ally. They benefit from the spell's protection as well as from the season. You can expand it. The spell gains the support attunement. Mental Bulwark, entanglement 3. If you hold at least 4 curse dice, increase your armor value granted by the spell by half your entanglement, so up to 2. And as you grow in entanglement, which this is powerful. This is powerful for older dead, especially since entanglement can go up to 10. So you can imagine one of these truly ancient dead with an entanglement of 10 would have effectively, and that they would by definitely have mental bulwark. Never mind all this other stuff. In fact, holy shit, keep going. Like you start with a 5 levels of mental armor. In Violet, the spell's armor now effect applies against physical sources of damage as well as against spells with the physical attunement. So now this mental armor, 5 points of mental armor, which you can expand to by bleeding 1 curse die to somebody else in your scene, is now 5 points of just all around armor, which is a lot. Then backlash, and then bleed 1 curse as a reflective action when an enemy attacks any cursed character benefiting from the spell, the psychic or emotional attack. The target suffers a major complication, failure to buy it off, results in 1. So, and also a backlash, and also it can hit back. I like all this stuff, and the cost and everything, but also like, wow, can you imagine how powerful like a truly ancient dead with like 10 entanglement? We don't even know what advances you could buy at the higher levels, the book doesn't even tell you. Like, that's just stuff it's not contemplated, maybe in an expansion, you know? But just based on what they get here, like, this is already like, holy shit, how are you gonna hurt this guy? So this is dope. This is dope. I like it. I kind of, okay, so I dig that it's a very different thing. Like, Old Darkness, you had, you know, your power levels, and usually it was 1 through 5, and then Vampire came in and did like, oh, you know, 6 through 10s and whatnot. But anyway, but you would have like a category of magic, and then the level 1 spell for that category, level 2 spell for the category, level 3, 4, and 5. And each one is a different spell / power / ability with its own mechanics. So here now, each spell is kind of its own thing. Like, their mental fortitude, the base mental fortitude, the same thing as base dissonance, same thing as base quiet space, base provocation, whatever. They're all like level 1s, and they all have additional enhancements that you can buy for them, making the individual spell more powerful, more flexible, more capable. I kind of dig that. Let's scroll down. Let's kind of scroll down a little bit further. We're not going to look at the first one for everyone. I'm just looking at random stuff, so we get a feel for them. But overall, I really like what I'm seeing. So let's see here. Through Time, for example. Bleed 1 curse dice. Attunements, ethereal, liminal, psychic, and support. Lost and cursed things survive in figments of incorporeal assistance with the dead can pull into material reality for a brief shining moment of use. Pull useful equipment, gear, or other possessions that a single person could carry from the immaterial past. Ooh, I love this. I love this kind of power. Such things are never ultra-modern or cutting edge and carry signs of both mundane wear and tear and the strangest storages of memory, such as a flashlight with a melted plastic housing from a brand that doesn't exist still works. These objects last until the end of the scene and then crumble back into corporeal nothings. Advancements. Old favorites. At Entanglement 1, you can pick a specific item or piece of gear. Your memories of it strengthens it, and it possesses an additional +1 enhancement. You cannot produce multiple old favorites in a single scene. You may change your favorite at the end of any session. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. The ability, imagine as a dead, you have your old favorite gun. Or Entanglement 3, bleed 2 additional to pull large objects. Like, you could kind of go with a kind of Ghost Rider vibe. That would be kind of cool. Silicon Dreams, you can call forth objects of high technology such as computer equipment. It's never newer than a decade old. And in bulk, a single activation of this power enables you to pull forth enough material or equipment to outfit up to 12 people. Yes, I remember my old armory fondly. I summon classic forklift. Exactly, which would be dope. Let me be clear, that would be kind of dope. So cool. I like this. I like this approach to the powers. All right, predation presence for the hungry. Vital force. They consume vital force. Properly cultivating the hungry gain incredible insight into its flow of mastery over the form and function. So red death. Bleed 1 curse die. Ethereal liminal. The hungry agitates her victim's blood, turning his own body and health against them. Make a magical attack using medicine or esoterica with double 9s and the wounding tag. Ouch! If your target has bled during the scene, gain +2 enhancement on the attack. If you inflict the bleeding status effect on your target with this attack, the complication is major. Wow! Yikes! An advanced chronic condition. Character suffering from bleeding status effect inflicted by red death cannot resolve the effect without magical intervention. Jesus Christ, that's brutal. Contagion Entanglement 3, you may purchase the Shockwave trick on this attack, which basically lets you do multiple targets for 1 less hit. If you purchase the Wound trick, it applies to all additional targets. Blight Entanglement 4, you may bleed 1 additional curse die when activating this spell to impose the dread area on the effect. On the dread area effect on an area out to medium range from your target, which only affects your enemies. Anyone who fails to buy off the complication additionally suffers 1. Wow, fuck everybody with blood in particular. Cool. All right, these are interesting powers. I like what they're doing with a lot of these. Let's go to the next. Let's look at a power from one of the. This is still hungry, right? Yeah, still hungry. Let's go to a power from Raptors. Here we go. We are now at. Are we at Personal Predator, Gloom Strike, Maelstroms? Here we go. Primal Lineage. All right, so let's look at so mutable forms. This is the one that you use if you want all the other. No worries, but Potato, get going. Have a good time. Thanks so much for hanging out. Happy Halloween. Hope you and your kid enjoy your time out. I will, as always, be back tomorrow, so hope to see you then. Take care, man. Take care. Let's see. Yes, happy spooks to everybody. Everyone still on chat. Let's see here. So aspect of the beast. Okay, hold 2 curse dice. Primal sets of human forms, a real stat of an animal. And then register forms. You can, as long as you hold at least 1 curse die, you may perform a specific ritual or practice in order to acquire additional animal forms for aspect of the beast. Shifting defense. You may bleed 1 curse dice. Additional cost to activate the spell. In response to an attack targeting you shift into animal form. You can transform into, which increases your defense by half of your entanglement. It's kind of cool. Hideous Swarm transformation. You transform into a swarm of spiders. Transform another. Bleed 2 curse dice when you cast a spell to give the ability to transform into one of the animal forms. You can also shift into another character. The other character gains all the benefits of aspect of the beast. If the blessed character can hold or bleed curse dice, they pay for the transformation as per that spell. If they cannot, they remain transformed until they choose to end it, at which point their effect resolves. Cool. Interesting. Force of nature, impenetrable skin, precise transformation, primal sprouts claws and the trips of her fingers to better climb a chrome. Okay, so this is useful. This I definitely want as a primal. Weapons of the beast, beast-shaped mastery. Choose an animal. Hold 1 curse die. Oh, cool! Wow, yeah, okay. So you can choose into your wild form so long as you hold 1 curse die. You may shift an additional bodily feature when you activate this power. Yeah, this is really cool. Deathless Fury, Master of Beasts, Pack Leader, Control, the Stranger, Hidden Things, Nightmares. Okay, really cool powers overall. I really like what they're doing. Your manifestation practices. These are for the outcasts. All right, let's look at one of the outcast powers real quick. Mayhem. Mayhem grants a practitioner the power of violence and death. Yay! They become a dynamo of power, cutting their way across the battlefield. Those descended from the Archons find that they resonate most strongly with this art. By bleeding 1 curse die, the accursed strikes her target with unbridled ferocity. This poster is frightfully deadly. For the rest of the scene, all of the characters' attacks gain the heavy weapon tag, regardless of which weapon she uses. I'm not going to look it up, but I'm assuming it's more damage. The Slayer's Blade, Entanglement 1, that is the advancement you can get. If you hold 2 curse dice, activate the spell as a simple action to grant all close combat attacks plus 1 enhancement that stacks. This enhancement may only be applied to overcoming a target's defense or purchasing the critical trick, such as more damage, fuck yeah. Bleeding Strike at Entanglement 3, give a bleeding effect. An unstoppable force attacks supplemented by the spell. Gain the benefit of 1 hit, which applies before the roll. So you are hitting no matter what. Cool attacks for the outcasts. Outcasts are definitely like fighties. I kind of dig that outcasts are meant to be like. They're out there. They're in the battlefield, so they're doing cool stuff. Let's move on to something from the physical perfection for the outcast. Looks like cool. Bulletproof heart. Executive function. I wish that was a power I could buy, but alas, my executive function is. I don't know, man. If chat, if you've seen my executive function, please tell it to come home. I miss it. All right, now we're gonna look at the sorcerer lineage stuff, or at least we will when we get back from the ads. Once again, last ad break of the stream. When we come back, we're just gonna go as far as we can, and then we'll wrap up. We'll see how that goes. So be right back, folks. And we're back and looking at what the sorcerers can do during the very last bit of today's show. I'm excited. I'm excited. We're wrapping up. I guess we're gonna skip a lot of the story guiding and maybe take a very quick look at some of the antagonist stuff. Um, I'm curious to see what some of that stuff, the story guiding stuff, as much as I wish. I mean, maybe look, something's stopping us. I could definitely like go over it like next week or something, but I definitely don't want to like. I kind of want to be done. I kind of want to be done with Curseborne. There's other games I want to talk about as well, so I'm gonna wrap up today. But we can always like, if you guys are really curious, we can always look at the stuff like in another week. Just kind of go back and take a look at the story guiding stuff. I do definitely want to revisit some, especially if they ever re-release stuff like before the final release, if they release like a beta text or something like that, or if they, which we'll probably get like the final PDFs. That usually happens. Usually the final PDFs come out long before like the physical books. So if those come out, that it might be a good idea for us to spend some time. Maybe not quite like an entire fucking month like we did, especially since we already saw it. So you just kind of like look it over, look for changes, stuff like that. That might be fun to do. But I think I really want to just kind of be done with Curseborne today after today's stream, and that way tomorrow's stream we can go back to like working on my game, or maybe we could play some video games instead. I don't know. We'll see how we feel tomorrow. So let's see. Invocation practices is for sorcerer, so the acquisition. And this is specifically pointed out for sorcerers. When a spell indicates it requires or can benefit from a symbolic link, those include things like blood, hair, or treasured personal possessions. For inhuman supernatural creatures, knowledge of their true name often also counts. So sorcerers have to deal with they have certain things like these connections, kind of classic magical connections, which I kind of dig. See the power of acquisition. Acquisition taps into the desire to obtain an own, which underlies so much of human interaction and many of the oldest curses. Sorcerers who cultivate these powers draw all manner of things to them: wealth, physical goods, rare commodities, social acclaim. This practice was once known as transference, until esteemed sorcerers pointed out the deals that this magic enabled were rather one-sided. And a little note for the story guide on character bonds. Story guides should consider what kind of bonds and items their antagonists and story guide characters might have available to them. While the loss of certain bonds and items might not seem that impactful, story guides should always consider the story elements that arise from the use of acquisition on the characters they control. So, transmutation, which costs bleeding 1 curse die. The sorcerer masters the first principle of magic, turning a worthless thing into something invaluable. Designate a single object you own to transmute from ordinary to extraordinary, changing material composition to exponentially increase its value. For example, turning lead into gold. So one of the first things you get to do as a sorcerer is turning lead into gold, which makes sense. It makes sense that as a sorcerer, one of the first things you do is something that's money, temporal power, and at first it's easy. The magic always requires a bigger sacrifice the second time around. Yes. So you choose an item, you give it exceptional or eye-catching, yada yada, advances. NFT, non-fungible transmutation. This may apply to intangible items such as digital image files, funds in an online bank account, or a patent. Making these things valuable this way also makes them wholly unique. They cannot be copied, replicated, or reproduced while the spell is active. They literally created a spell to let you, it makes sense that NFTs are curses. God
Curse you all!
Exactly, Skeletor, exactly. Invisible hand of the market. An item transmuted this way becomes desirable on top of valuable. All characters viewing or engaging with the system increase their attitude by 1 towards you, and you gain +2 enhancement to convince others that they need to buy the item. Oh, this is a real asshole level of power, which I dig. An expense report at entanglement 3. Bleed 1 additional curse die to target a second item. If increasing an item's value, you may target an item in an ally's possession. Okay, cool. Not as big of a deal as the other two, but cool. That's okay. That's dope. I like that level of magic. It also feels very close. Yeah, crypto, exactly. Like it feels right that crypto is a fucking curse. First of all. Also, this feels like the kind of stupid magic that sorcerers would be tempted by. and it also smacks of a little bit of luck, but definitely of like just bullshit trash magic. Like this is a real huckster's magic kind of level. Although in this case the transmutation is real, right? You're not selling just an illusion. But still, I like that. I overall like that. Plus, look at this. Instant gratification. This one's just straight up stealing. This one at least creates value. Sure, it's through magic, through sacrifice, and so what you get in is never as much as you get out. It's never quite as much as you put in. Not really. So all magic is a lie. But this one is just straight up stealing. Instant gratification. Bleed one curse die. Twisting curses around an individual item to whisk it away is always a subtle use of the practice of acquisition, but it is singularly satisfying to just take what you want. You gain possession of an object you can carry within medium range. If held, worn, or attended by someone else, you must succeed a larceny action against their integrity with a +1 enhancement on the action. If successful, the taken item appears in your hand. Failure alerts the owner or attendant but does not indicate who attempted the theft. Entanglement 2, you do grand larceny. You can automatically steal an item that would require an athletics plus might roll to lift without taking an action. Theft and self-defense. You may activate this reflexively in response to an attack or other negative effect, imposing a moderate complication on the attack. If not bought off, you gain possession of whatever weapon, implement, or relevant item was wielded against you. Kinda dig that. And Grand Theft Auto at Entanglement 4, bleed one additional one curse die when using this ability. This allows you to instantly obtain an object as large as a vehicle. Note, characters who have their vehicles stolen from beneath them safely reach the ground and are always aware that they are now on foot. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like the fact that that is pointed out is because it probably came up during playtesting. But I like this. Just like straight up yoink power. No, mine power. Like, look, sorcerers strike me as trash mages so far, and I kind of dig them. And they got biomancy, photosynthesis, preservation. Okay, this is like those Druid Mage's Regrowth. Consuming Siphon, which we saw, reach out to sample the lives and experiences of others. Experience Mine, so you get to steal skills or copy skills and stuff. Neat. Mental Vivisection. Power Tap, yeah, you can tap into others' powers. It's cool stuff. Illusions, Hallucination. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm so all about. I mean, we skipped through a lot of powers. Maybe if I spend time on individual powers, that would be another one that we could do one day. Just take some time and really dig through the powers. Like I said, I'm just kind of going through them real quick. See if any stand out. Telekinesis, kind of classic stuff. Debris field. This is some anime shit right there. Thaumaturgy. We always like thaumaturgy. This is this classic straight up I'm a wizard motherfucker kind of magic. Covers the creation and use of the raw magical power and substances of material creation. No set list of qualifiers for this practice, so it seems to draw boundaries to the basic elemental forces of the world, classical elements, natural materials, time, fate, entropy, and other such forces. Bombardment, hurled spurs of earth, murderous howling winds, crackling lines of lightning. The caster shapes and directs the element of their voice with murderous power. Basically attacking with different stuff, elemental powers, elemental attacks. Alter fate. Choose target with medium range and immediately learn one of their immediate short-term drives or goals. Elemental armor. Summon imp. So elemental creature lasts for the scene. Has a shiver, imp temple, blah blah blah. Jesus Christ! Every day around this time, fucking mail. I'm never here. I'm never home. I'm never gonna be home, mailman. Stop ringing the bell. The right stuff. Okay, cool. So and now we're talking about rituals. Now it's a whole separate method of stuff. And we've got 10 minutes, so we're not gonna look at details, but we're just gonna scroll over it. Okay, so there's a whole good, some nice example rituals. Hey, Arbalist, happy Halloween. Where'd my there we go. I'm dressed as Scoth Santa, I guess. I didn't really do much for a costume. Apologies for that. Welcome in for the literally last 10 minutes of the show. I'm wrapping up very soon. We're looking at some powers and stuff. Okay, so cool. Rituals, ritual magic, city block around the caster, friendly officers patrol map populated with moving figures of okay, this is cool stuff. Okay, so these rituals are more like old school mage magic, full on rituals with all sorts of stuff. I'm guessing the entanglement stuff is Yeah, groups. Okay, so they are requirements. So a group of at least 6 individuals must work together to cast an Entanglement 3 ritual. Requires a minimum of 2 individuals of any entanglement per level of requirement. So cool. I like this. So requirements, cool, power. Okay, and then boom, done with that document. Next, let's see how much we can get through before 5. I'm going to open up the next one. Let's see here, Curseborne, and open up document 5, which is story guide. Okay, we're literally just going to scroll through this character. This chapter. I'm not gonna get some best practices. We've got immersion on the budget. Okay, so this is just good advice for a story guide, different digital tools, how to think as a monster, how to design the different types of scenes that you might do, how to design an adventure, how to build an encounter, how to tune the severity of combat. Good stuff. I like that. That's good advice to have. How to manage the mood and feel that you want. You want hope punk. Ooh, hope punk. I like that. That is what they want you to do. That's the first thing you see is hope punk, which is kind of going back to the very first day earlier in this month when we first started looking at Curseborne. It really felt like a downer of a game. So much focus on curses and how much your character suffers and how much it sucks to be an accursed and all this stuff. And then it kind of started ramping up. And you know what? Fuck them and fuck the world. Let's do this. Let's build a new life. Let's build something. Let's make something out of these curses. I feel like the book needs to get to the hope punk maybe a paragraph or two before it currently does, because this game, wow, if I wasn't already kind of committed, I would have bounced right off of it in the first 5 paragraphs. Let's see here. Phoenix, the skill stealing. How long does it last? Permanent. I can make character around that one skill. Well, let's go right back up real quick. Let's see. Well, this is a different Curseborne draft manual. Let's see here. Let's see if we can find it real quick. Experience mine. Hey, perfect. It's for a short time. Touch on the character to take their expertise for a short time. If the target is unwilling, make an attack using medicine against their integrity, because skill area of actions is close combat, street knowledge, ancient mysteries. For the rest of the scene, gain a +2 enhancement whenever you take an action with that skill, while they suffer +1 difficulty on those same actions, and you can advance it. New Vein, bleed 1 additional curse dice, name a second skill or area to gain benefit from. Taste of Memory, Entanglement 3 lets you, rather than steal a skill, instead steal a memory related to a skill or an action. For example, close combat might be a memory of the time the target achieved a narrow victory. Blah, blah, blah. Acting on this knowledge grants +1 enhancement, which stacks, and the target suffers +2 difficulty. Or Dredge Deeper, bleed 1 additional curse dice to increase the bonuses and penalties. This grants up to half your entanglement, which entanglement fear 4 starts at +2. So it's a short term. It's kind of like in the moment, like just give me your experience, and now I'm better at that thing. It's pretty balanced. It's not a permanent thing, but I could see. I feel like something like that, something that would permanently steal an experience, a memory, or a skill, and grant it to you on a permanent level. I could probably see something like one of these rituals that we see here at the end, where it would require a certain level of entanglement and a bigger cost and all this stuff and requirements and everything. I could see that being a thing if a player wanted to do something like that. Or even a ritual like that could also be something that you as the players would be fighting to stop, because if it goes through, they will steal a friend's, I don't know, memories, or a mentor's magical power or whatever, stuff like that. That could also be very cool. All right, so story guiding, let's go back up here real quick. So urban fantasy, romance is ironically unloved by a lot of other games. Love, wanting to be loved, and generating human connections. Deep family bonds, deepening of friendships, and touches seduction for an engaging conversation. So cool. Keep things scary. Play on what creeps your players out. Play on emotions. Stay serious. It's easy to develop making jokes with your players. Tell me about it. But stay serious. Yeah, okay. I get it. I know what you're trying to do. Look at the new and the old. Final girl trope, innocent style trope, house is haunted trope. Some example tropes. Embrace the weird and romantic. Okay, using the rules. Rule 0. Have fun. How to change character creation. When to roll dice. Difficulty. Okay, good. I was wondering about these complications. Lots of examples of complications. Examples of what it means to fail. When specifically to roll dice. Lots of examples of complications for action, adventure, investigation, or influencing. This is good. How to determine when to raise difficulty versus when to add complications and what they mean. Okay, good. This is all good stuff that we want to see in the story guide section. What is advantage and what exactly does that mean? Good, good, good. Okay, these are some settings. Oh, cool. Example settings and how they work. Threats, curses, complication enhancements in those areas, in those settings. Very cool. This is definitely one of the big things that I want to see as a story guide. Another reason to kind of zoom over these is that if I'm ever wanting to use any of these for my players, maybe I don't want y'all to see all the little details on these. Not that anybody's, ever stopping them from doing it, but still, And then a nooks and crannies, shares a secret. Okay, so these are interesting little stuff. Okay, yeah, lots of examples of places that you can use for your adventures. And since there's separate adversaries, because I was about to say we're not seeing people, we're seeing places. But this is cool because places in their own way, they're kind of a character. Okay, cool, perfect. And then the last literally 4 minutes of this show is the last PDF. You thought we would have made it, but hey, look at me. We made it to manuscript 6 adversaries, and another one that we're just going to scroll over. Adversary templates. So we have templates, and you read them. They have a primary, secondary, and desperation pool. Cool. In order from most comprehensible to most cosmically horrifying, there's shiver, fright, terror, nightmare, and the more environmentally affecting, shattered space. The enhancements. So primary pool is what it's best at. Secondary pool is what it's next best at, and desperation pool is for everything else. Cool. Enhancements, what it has, defense, integrity, injuries, non-injury levels like the players. Okay, cool. Initiative, qualities, dread powers, much like spells and powers that characters have access to, but simplified, and special. So a shiver has. Okay, cool. So shivers are the hench people and sapient pests, and the employ larger, more dangerous foes. Cool. I like that all enemies kind of like have templates. And then you can go like just choose X amount of qualities and X amount of dread powers to specialize them. But otherwise, here are your basic stats for a shiver. Your basic stats for frights, which are distinguished themselves by dominating those around them or earning power and reputation. So your bullies, your zombie fright might be stitched together from multiple corpses, kind of like your mini bosses. Or rather, no, your bigger enemies, your mooks, your more kind of like serious enemies. Then a terror is a big deal adversary who should be named and given distinct personalities. Mini bosses, named, given distinct personalities and drives. They're often directing the masses that oppose the accursed, or maybe the story in the background. Terrors have shivers and frights serving as their lackeys and right hands, and gleefully throw them into the meat grinder if it allows their own personal survival. And then nightmares are the ultimate monstrosities of Curseborne. So these are your bosses, your BBEGs. Capable of taking on an entire party of accursed. They're often great and cosmic beings brought into play. Nightmare adversaries typically have at least one arena in which they possess advantage. Yeah, you think? Cool. Armor from zero to yeah, cool. Shattered spaces, and then these are just actual places that are special adversaries. These are modified terror template, but interact differently because these are actually places, etc., etc. Qualities. Okay, so here we go. So attentive, baleful touch, clingy, curse leech. Ooh, we're going to bleed curse because we've got some additional blood curse. That's rough. Energy vac. All right, so all sorts of powers that you can use to build your enemies. This is dope. This, as we're wrapping up, quick dope. I like this. A little just monster enemy generation chapter. All sorts of simplified powers that we can use, and which types of templates they're applied to, etc., etc., etc. Things they can do as reactions. This is dope, and we're still early on in the document. So much stuff to do. We're still in the D's, E's, I's. Oh yeah, this is good. Okay, and these are full. Okay, and now some actual adversaries. So some minions. The cuckoo. Oh, we could spend some time going with these cuckoo drones, host worms. So here's a whole bunch of example made ones. This is solid. Honestly, out of all the chapters so far, this one clearly got more love than some of the legacies, honestly. In terms of like, here's details, here's stuff I could just jump into a game with right now. The Night Whistler. Mundane people. Yeah, the real monster is a wretched isopod. No, the real monster are cops. The color change means it is 5 p.m. We have hit our so let's just kind of finish. Let's just keep going. Cursed mortals. Okay, hungry parasites. O diablo esfumado. So like bigger, the smoky devil, outcast. Okay, so other accursed antagonists. Cool. Full GM PCs. This is, or SGCs as the game terms them. Cool. Look, I this is great. This is great. Monsters, great cosmic entities, the haunted house and locations. This is dope. This is great for the story guide. All the more reason not to spend too much time on it. Spoilers. So with all that in mind, holy shit, we survived. We made it. I don't like how the green light makes me look. So I'm going to switch the lighting in this room real quick. I could end the stream first, but I'm not doing that. I am instead adjusting. Here we go. There we go. Much warmer, nicer light. Folks, I like what we're seeing. We are finishing a couple of minutes late. That's fine. I think you can deal. I can deal. We can all deal. Besides, my curse is that there's gonna be a lot more of this. All right, cool. You might have to wait another month or two while I ramp up. But eventually, unless my time starts getting taken over with games, which would be nice if people went to my profile and signed up for my games. And if you are not up for signing up for your games, hey, you know somebody who does, pass them that link. Let them know that they could be gaming tonight if they wanted to by just throwing money at this guy online. That's how that works. But there will be a lot more streaming. So like these little 3-hour streams during the day, a few times a week. Trust me. Expect a lot more in the coming months as certain things shake out. But for now, we're gonna start wrapping up, and with a final overview. I don't think I have. No, I'm 99% certain I don't have the ability to do WoW on this screen. No, I don't. That only happens. I should probably add that here in case I want to occasionally point at myself and go. Anyway, my general reaction to Curseborne is a fucking huge thumbs up. It is different enough. It fits the bill of being a spiritual sequel to World of Darkness without falling into the exact same traps while still being different enough. It's not just World of Darkness with the serial numbers filed off. It is a reimagining, not just of the setting itself, but definitely of the setting. This whole world of curses, this tattered world. I actually like that concept. I'm surprised they don't use it more often. The tattered world. I kind of dig that. But the world itself is interesting. Again, I feel like they need to bring up the hope punk, just the hope part of hope punk, a little quicker, because the initial impression that this tattered world gives is go fuck yourself. You're not gonna have a good time here. That's one of my few complaints there. Frag Eternum did a good job with that world, right? And look. Overall, I like it. Also, I never did show off today's shirt. Today's Halloween themed shirt. Let me see if I can show it. It is kind of Halloween. There we go. My body hurts and I hate the government. Can we cuddle and watch spooky movies? Is the shirt that I am wearing. And it is a shame. It is a shame that actually, honestly, my foot feels a lot better. It's still a little sore. I should probably still stay off it. It's a shame because honestly, I should just go out. I should go out and be adorable at the ladies of Astoria, New York. See if any one of them would like to take me up on this particular offer. Right? That is trophy husband shirt material. That's all I want out of life. That's all I want out of life. I want to be a trophy husband. I want to be a trophy husband. I want. Looking for a girl with a short skirt and a long jacket. All right, the whole cake song. All right, that's because that way, and who is then willing to be? I can be her trophy husband. I can just I can do this. I will not cheat on you. Look at what I do. Look at what I do. All right. Waiting for your wife's sisters to take off so you can just be the pool boy. Right, man. That's the dream. You are living the dream. Fucking good for you, honestly. On that note, folks, I've enjoyed how we've spent this entire goddamn month looking over Curseborne 4 pages at a rate of approximately 4 pages per 3 hours, which appears to be just my brand. I guess that's just what I do now. still good times, a good time all around. We like the game. I like what they're doing. I'm excited to see more. They say the way it's presented, and it is entirely possible. They say like, hey, with everything that we've seen, all the documents that are released so far, you could play this tonight. You could play this game right now. I personally wouldn't. There is still enough there, and I kind of noticed this because I watched a few of their actual plays that have been airing throughout the month, and I could tell it's expected, right? These are GMs that are trying out a new system for the first time, and there were a lot of pauses. We're like, wait, what's the rule here? You know what? I'm just going to house rule this right now just to move forward. The kind moments like those, right? Like the system is still half baked enough. Maybe not the system, but the setting, the specifics, the system specific stuff for the setting. Enough of it is still half baked enough that I don't think it's 100% ready for prime time, which is why there's a Kickstarter and they're still writing to be done, right? They're very clear on that. This is not final stage material, but even what's here is still good. It's still playable, but I wouldn't choose to play it. I personally would wait until they declare like, okay, final version, the PDFs are out, you'll get your physicals whenever. That's probably the point at which I'd go, okay, cool, I want to run some of this. Unlike DC-20, which I think still so far from done. I think there's still like a year or two of development on that game, but I think once it hits 0.9 and you can at least go up to level 4, I think I might be willing to try and run some games on that one. This one, Curseborne, I'm gonna just pay attention to for a while, see how it goes, and just kind of cheerlead it for a bit, because I really do. I think it would be a lot of fun to run a game for this. And I actually, in that start playing games link that I did, right now the only games that I really have up are a couple of God Machine Chronicle games. I would love for my games to be like, I want to do a lot of Curseborne stuff. I actually hope that they'll do, like, if they ever do some kind of promotion for Curseborne on SPG as well, like, I would fucking love that. I think they probably would, because they've done some Onyx Path stuff before. I was actually kind of surprised that they didn't do a promotion for Curseborne, I guess, again, because the system's not 100% there yet. But if they do some kind of promotion for SPG, you bet your ass I'm going to take part of that if at all possible, because I would love to run this. This is my bag. Everything about this makes me excited. I would love to run games in this system and in this world. So excited to see how that goes. But until then, as always, folks, thanks so much for hanging out. This has been our stream. We, as always, usually stream from 2 to 5 p.m. on weekdays, and I will be back tomorrow, not with more Curseborne. We're done with Curseborne for the month. Curseborne month is over. Halloween is here, and then October is over, and after that, man, hey, thanks so much. Enjoy Veilguard. Let me know next time you drop by the stream what you think. I haven't had a chance to play yet, and I think I'm probably gonna wait a while because I have too many games to get through, and I have too much other stuff that I need to do, and I can't afford to be spending like the $70 or whatever it is right now. So enjoy the game. Let me know what you think about it next time. And otherwise, I will be back tomorrow, either to look over my own game or do something else. Also, again, if you like what you hear, my socials are here. Follow me in any of those for any updates in case I stream late, stream early, or don't stream at all. I usually let people know in the socials. Otherwise, have a great one, folks. Have a good time zone wherever you are, and I will be back tomorrow. Let's see. Why do I never have I need to redo these buttons because I have to switch between chat and scenes, and it's a whole thing. And